Greetings traveler, I am Akira, a representative of the Twilight Society and the curator of these tales. Today, we will embark on a journey which is KanoKari, a different life too. As always, if you want to support the creator of these works, their Patreon and story link will be in the description. Now, without further ado, buckle up and enjoy the story.
Chapter 26, Hot Springs for a 4. Okay, no more alcohol for you. He snatches her third beer bottle and takes a swig of it, emptying the bottle. Hee Kazuya, you just drank from my bottle. She starts whispering close into his ear after that. That means we just shared an indirect kiss. He decides that he's had enough of being a beta pussy and turns to Chizuru, hugging her waist and pulling her close. Chizuru, I have been holding back for way too long today, and your current actions are not exactly helping my resolve of not doing something that you might regret later on. He lightly touches her cheek with his lips, making her feel goosebumps with his hot breath with the ticklish feeling of his cheek. Then why don't you? He can easily feel that her voice is trembling, and she's just forcing herself. Probably because she wants to get her mind off of something. Because you're drunk right now. And I don't want you to hate me come tomorrow. He holds her by the shoulders and looks her in the eyes. She pauses for a while as she looks into his eyes. Her eyes start getting misty. I feel stuffy. I feel stuffy right here. She points at her heart with an expression of pain. Make it go away. I don't like this feeling. She makes a genuinely aggrieved expression that breaks Kazuya's heart. She holds his t-shirt with both her hands and pulls him, putting her face on his chest. Make it go away, please. Her voice is muffled as she pleads. He doesn't say anything and envelopes her fragile-looking body in a gentle hug as if she'd break if he held her too tight. Come here. He guides her to the window with the comfy armchairs, his arms still enveloped around her. Take a seat. He tries to make her let him go, but she doesn't budge. Please. Don't leave me, she unconsciously says to him. He isn't able to resist her plea and takes a seat on the couch, pulling her on his lap. He doesn't have any time to enjoy the amazing feeling of her devilishly sexy body sitting on his lap as she buries her head into his chest and tears up even more. Feeling the warm wetness on his chest, Kazuya has no idea what to do other than to rub her back to comfort her. I don't like this. Why you gotta cry like that? It was fine until that. He keeps comforting her trembling body as he doesn't say anything. Damn it, Chizuru. I was gonna go slow with you. Take half a year, 6 months. Set up some stuff. At the very least I was planning to help you after buying a damn agency, but this just derails everything. How am I even supposed to react to something like this? Why would she even get drunk like this? I know for a fact that even after a heartbreak she'd never do something like this. He looks down at her innocent and defenseless sleeping face, with dried tear stains on her face making him feel like he's doing a crime. What's going on in your life that's hurting you so much, Chizuru? What's made you close yourself off from everything so much, that you always wear a mask? Never to take it off in any sort of situation. He looks out the window to see the beautiful view of the mountain valley at night along with the stars that are shining in the beautiful sky as he starts drifting off to sleep. He falls asleep on the comfy armchair with his hands wrapped around Chizuru, who was sitting in his lap, using his chest as her pillow to sleep. The next day, as the sun shone on his face, Kazuya woke up in annoyance and pain. He couldn't feel his legs, his back was feeling a lot of pain, and the weight on his legs wasn't making it easier. I fucked up. 1, I slept with her in my lap. 2, I fell asleep sitting on a fucking chair. Damn it. Still, in pain, Kazuya tries to move his body a little but feels nothing but stiffness all over. I need a fucking massage. Maybe the resort has a good spa treatment. I hope I get the feeling back in my legs in a few minutes. He notices that Chizuru was also stirring awake in his lap. Time to face the music. Good morning, Ms. I'm glad that it was a provisional thing, Kazuya softly says to her, as he notices her awake but not responding. The next instant she jumps out of his lap like a cat whose tail got stepped on. Ugh! My head hurts. Due to her abrupt movement, her hangover headache was stimulated and hurt her like a bitch. Kazuya wanted to get up but he couldn't feel his legs, so he kept sitting. Going by his habits, he pretends like nothing happened so Chizuru doesn't try to beat him up. This time he might not be able to dodge her. She stays still for a few seconds, trying to get the headache down while remembering last night's events. Not a word about last night. She says that to him in a threatening tone and leaves without even looking at him. Now you do the tsundere act? Seriously? What about my thank you? I had to care for a drunk mess of a girl last night who kept trying to seduce the fuck out of me. I can't even feel my legs right now. And that's not because of the amazing sex that we definitely didn't have. Kazuya complains mentally as he massages his legs a little, trying to get the blood circulation back into his legs. Finally successful after a few minutes, he wobbles to the in-room phone and calls up the reception asking if there's a spa service here. God, my back hurts like a bitch. I feel like an old man with all kinds of health issues. They agreed and he was at the spa in an hour, ready to get his massage done. If only these hands were Chizuru's. He absent-mindedly thinks of Chizuru's soft hands while getting his massaged by the masseuse. I'm such a scumbag. I'm smitten with Chizuru, but I'm still trying to get into Mami's pants. I don't even like her, it's all lust. It's like, she looks like such an angel on the outside but she's a complete devil on the inside. And not just any devil, a fucking sexy succubus that I can't keep my hands off. But first I need to get her to be dependent on me. He makes a few plans for the future and how to deal with Mami. He wanted her completely under his control and dependent on him. Since she wants to do the same to him, he didn't mind returning the favor. He was pretty vindictive that way. He wasn't going to make any plans to get together with Chizuru since he wanted things to go naturally with her. She's the exact opposite of Mami. She's got an amazing devilish body, literally perfect in all aspects. But on the inside though, she's as pure as an angel, the kind that you want to care for with all your heart, while also wanting to defile completely. This contradictory aspect of hers was something that he was extremely fond of. After his massage, he meets up with his family and all 6 of them have lunch together. He didn't know if it was just a coincidence, or if it was both of their grandma's ploy, but he and Chizuru ended up sitting together. Looking at Chizuru, who seemed the same cheery girl as usual, he realized that there was a reason that she is an amazing actress. She's acting all the time. No matter what she feels, she's someone who keeps everything bottled up and acts like everything is completely normal. Just how much of a burden are you carrying, Chizuru? How much of it do you keep hidden? He notices his grandma pampering her as if she was already decided as her granddaughter-in-law and doesn't react much when he sees that Chizuru is acting happily and affectionately with his grandma. Although Chizuru refuted her claim of becoming her granddaughter-in-law, she didn't look too adamant after Nagomi called her that the second time. After they're done, they both go to their room to pack up since they'll be leaving soon. So, you seem to like the prospect of being my grandma's granddaughter-in-law. Finally warming up to me? Yeah, right. She scoffs at his claim. You seemed pretty warm to me in the morning when you were drooling on my chest. She aggressively looks at him and points her finger at him. Forget that ever happened. He smirks and grabs her hand and sucks on her outstretched finger. Her surprise is sudden as she hurriedly tries to pull her hand away from his mouth, but to no avail since he was still holding her hand with his. Pervert. Sicko. Let me go. She, in panic, tries to make him let go. He looked into her eyes for a good 10 seconds. He let her finger free. At this point, her face is a mess of blush since he was playing with her finger using his tongue, and that made her feel weird things. Who said kissing mastery was only going to help kiss? Might as well use it to establish dominance. Point at me next time, I might not just let go. Do that and I'm calling the police. You want to go out? What? Do you want to go out? Haven't we had this conversation already? I'm just saying a date. I want to help you let loose. You're going through some stuff and need something to distract yourself. So before you decide to bury yourself under boring rental dates, let's go out on a fun one first. My rental dates aren't as boring as you make them out to be. I have a lot of fun doing that. More fun than you would with me? Well, no, but they are fun for me nonetheless. I mean, really, how fun can hanging out with socially awkward people that don't have much going for them in terms of social skills be? Do you have something against people who aren't as charismatic as you? I've seen you diss them like that many times. Are you saying that being antisocial is better than being charismatic? He gets a little defensive. I'm not comparing you with them. I'm just genuinely concerned. You seem to have a bias against a specific type of people, and I just want you to know that it's there. It might be a thing. Kazuya goes deep in thought at Chizuru's words. I guess Kazuya's past, or at least the tiny amount of it that I know, created a bias against people like him inside me. I guess that's why I always look down on people who rent Chizuru. Whatever. I'll think about it later. Fucking original, it's all his fault. As usual, Kazuya blames the original for all his problems. I agree. I might have been too harsh on the people that usually rent you. But still, are you sure you wouldn't be able to let loose with me? I know for a fact that you'll be wearing your perfect girlfriend mask on the rental dates. I guess it'll be fun to have a nice normal date. Chizuru accepts Kazuya's invitation with a smile. But that's it. Nothing more and nothing less. No more dates after that. We're done. Maybe I'll be your wingman in helping you get another girl. Sure. Kazuya chuckles as he knows that that's not what's going to happen. Chapter 27, A Lost Child. Didn't you guys break up? Ye dash. Chizuru, who's in her nerdy outfit, tries to agree and say that they did break up but gets interrupted. What? Who told you that? It was a rough patch, we got through it. Kazuya puts his arm around Chizuru's shoulder. That's so good. You guys worked things out. Yeah. Kazuya looks to the left to see Chizuru glaring at him. Her look said, it was a mistake to ever think that talking to you at university won't make things a pain in my ass. It was so difficult to get those two off my back, and now they'll be at it again. How did I even understand that from her look? He blankly thinks to himself. So guys, Chizuru is getting late for her class. I'll walk her to class. Sure, get back before class starts. At a seat in the back, a blonde girl is giving the duo of Kazuya and Chizuru a blank look. I'm going home. She gets up and picks up her bag. Mami, but what about this afternoon's lecture? It's Kumaja, right? Just mark me down as here. He's pretty lenient with attendance. What's going on? She just left abruptly. Maybe she's not feeling well. Or maybe it hurts her to be here. Mami's friend eyes the spot where Kazuya was standing with Chizuru. Anybody was fine, so I just picked the most convenient one. Why do I even care, damn it? Mami was in her room at home wearing comfy mini shorts along with a comfortable hoodie. She was hugging a pillow close to her chest and burying her face in it, sitting on the bed with her back leaning on the wall. Her finger was twiddling with the nose of a stuffed bear plushie. Suddenly an emo-looking guy with messy hair opens her room's door without knocking and says, Sis, that person's here. Tell them I'll go later. She hugs the pillow and lies down on the bed, facing away from her brother toward the wall. Really? Again? Dad's not gonna be happy, you know? Mami's quiet. You didn't find a guy at university, did you? Go fuck yourself, short ass. Mami throws the pillow that she was hugging to her chest at him. He quickly closes the door and leaves with the last comment. I'm taller than you. Die. Idiot. Falling in love is just painful. She hugged her knees and put her chin on them. What the hell was that? What the hell was what? You telling everyone that we're dating, again. Oh, that. Yeah. That was fun. That's it. We're supposed to be broken up. We are broken up. Then why the hell did you not tell them that? I just wanted to. Kazuya has an innocent look on his face. Gotta be a little shameless sometimes. He laments inwardly. Well, whatever. Now what? Don't worry your pretty little head. I'll take care of it. Chizuru nagged at him a little more before he dropped her off at her next class. Mami went home? Kazuya asked Kai. Yeah, she left just after you. What are you doing asking about your ex? You've got such a nice girlfriend, you should cherish her to death. Forget about that Mami bitch. Yeah, sure. Kazuya trails off deep in thought as he pays attention to the lecture while thinking. I guess my tactic worked. Let's see what she does now. Can't let the girl think that she has me wrapped around her finger. I just need to get my freelance projects done and get the AI and ML knowledge. That'll get me up to the next step of my plans. Hey, Kazuya! Kuri calls Kazuya after classes are over and he's about to go home. Kuri? What's up? I have found a girlfriend too. We should double date sometime. Sure. Kazuya says non-committal to the idea. It's decided then. Saturday. We're doing a double date. Not wanting to give Kazuya a chance to reply, Kuri walks off. Or at least he tries to. Stop right there, asshole. Fuck you think you're doing? You think you can just make plans without actually listening to mine or Chizuru's answer? Does your bitch ass think that you're Chizuru? I let her run away because I like her. It's like any random schmuck can walk all over me. What kind of reputation did the original have, dude? As usual, He criticizes the original inhabitant of the body because the guy was just that shitty. If you want me to go out with you on a double date, then at least tell me the plan. What if you decide on a boring dumb thing and I bring my girl there? Wouldn't our date be ruined? Think about that stuff, dude. So do you have a plan for the date? Curry is stunned for a few seconds as his confident-looking facade falls off and he stammers a bit. Free climbing, also called bouldering. I was thinking we'd go there. Don't hate all socially inept people just because you hate one of them, he says to himself. That sounds fun. Let's do it at around 3. I want to take Chizuru to dinner after that. I am not really free for so long. Curry stammers in a panicky way as if he's hiding something. Don't worry, dude. We are just going to do free climbing with you and your girl. The rest of the time is going to be just me and Chizuru. We'll separate after the free climbing stuff. Curry visibly sighs in relief and says, "Oh, that's good. So, let's do a double date Saturday." Yeah. See, that wasn't hard. All you had to do was to let me talk. It's not like I'll reject you instantly. That night Kazuya was chatting with Chizuru about their date. So Saturday, I'll take you out. Keep yourself free from 3 till the night. I refuse. I refuse your refusal. You're coming, even if I have to drag you out of your apartment in your pajamas. But I was planning to do some rental work Saturday to make the money. I really can't come. It's fine. You can come over to my place and eat your food here. You can sleep here too if you want. It'll save half your usual bills for the rest of the week. Stop your meaningless bullshitting. I'm serious. At least about the food part. If you don't want to come to my place, I'll come to your place with the ingredients, and we'll eat together. You can be my loving housewife that cooks while I, the chauvinistic man of the house, bring the food and money. It'll be perfect. Leaving aside the last part of your text. Food is the least of my expenses and I don't need you to do that for me. If you say so. But I think it'll be fun. I can say that I'm fucking bored of eating alone all the time. Anyway, we got off topic. You and me. Date. Saturday. If you're down on money, then I'll lend you some, and you can give it back to me later. I was thinking. Don't even say it. I didn't even send that text. I know what you're gonna say, and while I have no money problems renting you, I will in no circumstance do it. You and I are friends. Your mask is an unbelievably fickle thing, and if you end up classifying me as a client, then all my effort to make you my friend will go down the drain. He doesn't say that he feels like it's degrading for her to be paying her because she enjoys what she does. Chizuru looks speechlessly at her phone while lying on her bed. Imagine me sighing at your text. I'll go with you on Saturday. And it better be fun. Or else I'm never talking to you again. I call bullshit. And you don't have to worry, it'll be fun. The next day, on Tuesday, Kazuya is walking back home from college while humming a tune and listening to a song. Suddenly he feels something or someone bump into him and steps back a bit. As he looks down he sees a girl in a school uniform fallen on the ground in front of him. She had short brown hair and was wearing a cute blue ribbon. Did a lost child run into me? He thinks for a moment but then notices her ample bosom and long slender legs that are emphasized by her hiked-up skirt. Nah, she's probably doing some kind of schoolgirl cosplay or something. Let's fuck with her a bit. He was bored and thought to have fun with a new cute character that appeared. Hey, little girl, are you okay? He hands her hair to her with a charming smile. She looks at his hand and then looks down, feeling a breeze somewhere that she shouldn't feel. She blushes and hurriedly fixes her skirt before looking at his outstretched hand. She grabs it and says, "Thank you, mister." She hurriedly leaves after Kazuya helps her up. What the hell? Was she truly a little girl? I'm so confused right now. Kazuya thinks to himself before continuing on the way back home. The rest of Kazuya's week went by like usual. His MMA level increased to level 8, his business administration level increased to level 5, and he was done with about 40 projects by now. The projects that he completed were similar to the ones he'd already completed, so it was easy to get by after reusing old code with a few tweaks. This made his progress much faster for the week. Especially since he now had some actual motivation to get his project done. Mami kept avoiding him for some reason and he didn't care much for her since he wasn't planning on doing anything about her yet. Finally, it was Saturday and he knocked on Chizuru's door to leave for their date. Chapter 28, Double Date, 1/3. Hi, Kazuya. Chizuru greets Kazuya with a smile on her face. She'd styled her hair the way she did on their second date. with a lock of it hanging from the side. She was wearing a skin-color full-sleeved t-shirt and a red spaghetti strap dress over that. "You look beautiful, Chizuru." Kazuya hugs her, who returns it after a few seconds of hesitation. "Did you get your sportswear?" "Yep, it's in this bag." "Great, let's go then." Chizuru locks the apartment, and starts walking. Kazuya comes up to her and takes her bag from her while grabbing her hand as they both walk. "So what's the deal with this double date?" "I honestly don't know. Kuri, the most unlikely guy to get a girlfriend, got a girlfriend. I'm happy for the guy, but it's a weird situation nonetheless. Aren't you jealous? He got one before you." "Bullshit. Aren't I with you? But I'm not your girlfriend, am I, Kazuya?" "That's all in your head, baby girl. You were mine the day I saw you in that blue flowery sundress on our first date. You just don't know it yet." "Yeah right, keep your delusions." She scoffs at his claim. "Holy Mother of God!" The moment he notices Chizuru. "Kuri? Kuri! Did I break him?" Chizuru looks at him with concern. "Nah, he's fine." Kazuya flicks the guy's forehead. "Oh. What the hell, dude? Why did you freeze like that?" Chizuru thought that she was the reason you broke. "That's Ichino's? I thought that you brought someone else." Both of them are silent. "Okay, my bad, that was rude of me. But really, holy moly, Chizuru. You're so unbelievably beautiful. Why do you dress so unassumingly at college?" Kazuya could tell that this dumbass was sorta smitten with her, so he whacked the guy in the head lightly. "Dude, stop trying to flirt with my girl. What she does is our business. Don't be so intrusive, man." "Alright, I agree that I was wrong. But, for the love of God, can you stop hitting me? Don't do something that would make me want to hit you and I won't." "Did you bring the sportswear?" Kuri asked Kazuya and Chizuru, hoping to change the topic. "Yep." Kazuya holds up both bags and shows them to Kuri. "Great! One of the seniors brought me here once and I've been hooked ever since. I'm gonna go look for my girlfriend." Kuri leaves with a wave. "So, you think she's real?" Kazuya asks Chizuru. "What do you mean?" "I mean, what do you think are the odds of the guy bringing, like a balloon and asking us to meet Balloony?" "Honestly, the odds aren't zero. You're becoming a little sarcastic." "Amazing. This means I'm rubbing off on you. Back when we first met, if I'd made this joke, you'd tell me that I'm pretty mean to the guy." She just looks at him blankly. "Hey, guys. Sorry to keep you waiting." Kuri walks with the beautiful girl who's wearing a turtleneck sweater and a short black skirt. She has short brown hair and a blue ribbon tied to the top of her hair. "Hey, isn't that? This is Sarashina Ruka." Kuri introduces the girl he brought with him. "Nice to meet you." "Nice to meet you." Chizuru and Ruka both greet each other. "Hey, aren't you that little girl that ran into me?" "Why, yes." She nods, looking mature. "A little." "Kazuya, Ruka isn't a little girl. She is 17 years old." "When you say it like that, it makes me sound like a criminal." "Well, she didn't seem to mind, so I thought it was fine." Kazuya shrugged his shoulders. "Although, no wonder you wanted to ask for a double date. You wanted to show your beautiful girlfriend off, huh?" Kazuya teases Kuri and feels a chilling stare on his back. He turns back and notices Chizuru with a not smile looking at him. Her eyes at that moment were terrifying. Shatter. I think that my dreams of having many girls around me just shattered into oblivion. "What is it?" Kazuya asked Chizuru. "Nothing." She didn't tell him. "Hey guys, come on." Kuri, who had already walked ahead with Ruka, waved at them. "Yeah. This guy brought us here to show off." Kazuya was standing beside Chizuru and looking at Kuri, who was posturing while climbing high up. "I agree. Wanna knock him down a peg? I'm up for it. I'm confident in myself, but will you be able to do it?" Kazuya smiles confidently and says, "Of course I can. Who do you take me for? You want to go first? You want me to go first? Sounds like someone might not be so sure of themselves." She walks off without waiting for Kazuya's reply. Kazuya is glad that he has been working out and training in MMA for the past 2 months. Although he spent the first month getting used to things, he upped his intensity by a lot in the second month. With his regular workout and training regime, he's more than equipped to do this. Chizuru goes up to the wall with the jagged edges as Kazuya admires her body that's clad in tight sports clothing. She was wearing black mini shorts and shoes with leggings of the same color below them, and a tight pink and red t-shirt on her upper body. Her hair was tied in a ponytail held by a pink hairband. Kuri was standing at the bottom waiting for Chizuru and Ruka to praise him and ask him to give them pointers before climbing. Chizuru wasn't in her polite girlfriend mask for today and was in more of a laid-back vibe since she was out with Kazuya today, so she didn't pay any attention to Kuri and started her climb. Kuri didn't seem to mind as it seemed to Kazuya and turned to look at Chizuru, who was slowly climbing the wall. "Fuckers got balls, ogling at my girl right in front of my face." Kazuya walks up to Kuri and hugs him by the neck, whispering in his ear, "Yo dude, stop staring at my girl's ass or you might not be left with your own by the end of today. You've got a perfect girlfriend right there, do whatever you want with her," he whispers into Kuri's ear with a chilling tone. Kuri looked at Kazuya's perfect smile, seeming as if he didn't just threaten his friend, and thought, the fuck happened to old meat Kazuya? Why is this one so much more confrontational with everything? Kazuya didn't wait for his reply and decided to have fun with Chizuru. He also got up on the wall below Chizuru and held on to one of the edges before starting his climb. Since he'd been working out for so long, he didn't have much trouble with the climbing aspect. His usual martial arts training required him to focus on his core strength, which is also majorly responsible for balancing. With all that, it was almost child's play to climb up the wall. As he looked up, he got the perfect first-person shot of Mizuhara's perky ass stretched to its limit as she stepped off a particularly steep platform. If she fell, would it hurt that much? I should get out of her way if she does end up falling. But Kazuya was going through an entire world war within himself as he continued his climb. Ultimately, his dick was what won, as usual when it came to his decisions that came to his love life. If Kuri knew the actual situation between him and Chizuru and could hear his current thoughts, he would cry out in agony at the hypocritical unfairness of his friend. "I swear that these decisions are going to bite me in my ass one day." Kazuya thinks about the chilling look he felt from Chizuru when he complimented Ruka. A while later, Chizuru reaches the top. She looks to her left and turns her head while staying stable to give Kazuya a smug smile. All she saw were Ruka and Kuri looking at her and pointing to her other side. Chizuru was curious and turned around again so that she could stably look at her right side. The moment she turned there, she got the scare of her life. Kazuya's face is no more than 2 inches away from hers, and in her panic she abruptly pulls herself back, which makes her lose her footing suddenly. She closes her eyes just as she realizes that she's about to fall, but then she feels a hand grab her waist and pull her in another direction. She was about to sigh in relief, thinking that she was saved by Kazuya, but then she realized that her momentum didn't seem to stop. Next, she felt like she was enveloped in protective arms that hugged her tightly. This feeling of being protected and cared for strangely reminded her of her grandpa and how he used to hug her. The next moment, there's a thump as she feels herself bounce once before they settled down. All along the ride, the protective arms stayed in their place, holding her tight, and she felt very happy since she knew whose they were. When she opened her eyes, she saw the amused, smiling face of Kazuya looking at her. "What's up, airhead?" His comment infuriates her. "You're the airhead. Who the hell told you to jump up to my side like that? You startled me completely." Chizuru was about to pull herself up to start scolding him correctly, but his arms didn't seem to want to let her stand up, so she didn't struggle. "It's not my fault for you abruptly turning around to see me. I wanted to surprise you by pulling you into my arms while we were up there. How were you even going to do that? That's for me to think about. See, you didn't even have a plan. Honestly, you can be so irresponsible at times. What if we got hurt?" She poked at his chest. "Alright, let's not fight. We're out on a date, and our friends are looking at us like a pair of exotic animals that are about to mate." Kazuya smiled at her reaction when she realized that they were in a public place. When they both finally got up, Kazuya realized that there were a lot of people staring at him in hostility. Hee hee. Try not to end up beaten to death. Chizuru giggled at his misery. "What the hell? How thirsty are the people here? I'm just enjoying my time with my girl." Shoo shoo. Chizuru noticed that there was a single jealous glare that wasn't pointed at Kazuya and was instead pointed at her. It was Ruka who was glaring at her in what seemed jealousy. The moment Chizuru turned to look at her, Ruka's face turned normal, but that was enough for Chizuru to tell that Ruka was jealous of her. Was his slight compliment so effective? I doubt that's it. Forget it. Chizuru doesn't pay much attention to Ruka. "You want to go rock climbing sometime? Like the real deal. On a mountain and everything." Kazuya asks her from the side. That sounds fun. But I don't have much time to be free and enjoy things like this. Plus, real adventure sports like that can get pretty expensive. I don't want to leech off of you. Forget about the details. Just tell me that if you had the option to go or not to go, then would you? Don't think, just tell me. Yes. She pauses. I guess I'd like to go there sometime. See, perfect. I just wanted to know what your answer would be. Leave the planning and everything to me. We'll try it sometime. I guess. She trails off non-committally. It's you next, right, Ruka? Yes. She answers shyly. Not as good of an actress as Chizuru. Although, why is she acting shy in the first place? It can't be that Kuri got a rental or something, did he? Kazuya dismisses the thought as he sees Kuri walk up to her and give her a hand. He was sitting on a bench with his hands behind his head and was leaning on the wall behind the bench. Chizuru takes a seat next to him with a bottle of water in her hand. Ha! This was fun. We should do something like this again sometime. I'll take you for rail rock climbing when we get some free time. But for now, can you give me some water? He turns his head to the side while still leaning on his hands behind it. Here. Chizuru holds out the bottle to him. My hands are occupied. Chizuru feels like punching his innocent-looking face. You don't leave any damn scope in taking advantage of me, do you? Chizuru sighs and brings the bottle close to his mouth, helping him drink. Kazuya felt blissful as he was being fed by this beautiful girl. Their forced flirty moment is interrupted by Ruka. Hey, Chizuru-san. Let's go to the bathroom. How rude. Is she jealous of me and Chizuru, or something? Kazuya thinks inside as Chizuru puts the water bottle on the bench beside him. Sure, Ruka. She got up and followed Ruka to the bathroom. I'm getting an ominous feeling. Kazuya thinks as he watches two amazing beauties walk side by side. God, I suck for wanting to have a threesome with the both of them. Yo, Kuri. Let's go again. Kazuya proceeds to whoop Kuri's ass in wall climbing. I like exercising a lot, you know? What about you, Ruka? I'm not a big fan. Ruka stops walking as Chizuru walks a few steps ahead of her before turning back. Ruka? You're one of those rental girlfriends, aren't you? Chapter 29, Double Date 2/3. You're one of those rental girlfriends, aren't you? Eh? What are you talking about, Ruka? What do you even mean by rental, girlfriend? Ruka doesn't say anything to Chizuru and walks past her to the bathroom, leaving Chizuru there. What the fuck? Kazuya was halfway up to his climb to the top when he heard a panicky voice call out to him. K Kazuya! He looked down and saw Chizuru with her fists clenched and her face looking like she'd been through a war. What's wrong with her? He doesn't waste much time and jumps down to the soft bed below. Everything all right? He holds her hand and brings her to the seating area, looking at her with concern. She knows. Chizuru, take a deep breath, calm down and tell me the situation from the start. He tried to calm her down since he could tell that she was panicking. Chizuru is quick to follow his advice as she speaks with a calmer voice this time. She knows that I'm a rental girlfriend. What exactly happened? We were walking to the bathroom and suddenly, she stopped and told me that I'm one of those rentals. She told you? Damn, how sure does she have to be to act like that? What did you do after that? I denied all of her claims. What else was I supposed to do? All right, let's think this through calmly. She was certain that you are a rental, right? Right. Why would a girl even know about the existence of the concept of a rental girlfriend? It's not exactly a popular thing. Unless my joke ended up becoming true. What joke? I have a lot of doubts that Kuri could land someone like her. She's either a prostitute or a rental. I'm gonna go for her being a rental. Prostitutes aren't that classy. At least ones that Kuri can afford. She narrowed her eyes at him. You seem to know a lot about prostitutes. It's all stuff that I've heard from others in media. Kazuya looked away and raised his hands. Talking about the problem with Kazuya, who helped her calmly analyze it, Chizuru was now much more relaxed and in the capacity to make jokes herself. Well, if she's a rental then things are much easier. Kazuya took out his phone and spent a few minutes searching for her online. I guess. Well, this proves at least one thing. Stop making things suspenseful and tell me. Chizuru pulls at his arm and shakes him. All right. Geez. Look. Kazuya shows Chizuru Ruka's profile on her agency's website. Mother. Chizuru stopped herself from screaming out when she saw that Ruka was also a rental. I'm reporting her. How dare she threaten a coworker dash? Chizuru was about to furiously start typing on Kazuya's phone before he pulled it away from her hand. Alright. Let's not make any hasty decisions. I'm sure that if she did this, she doesn't give a shit about her contract being breached. But Dash, it's fine. You just need to calm down and leave it to me. I'll go and take care of Ruka. She narrows her eyes and says, Why does it sound like you're about to go murder the girl? If nothing else works, that is our last option. Kazuya says with a dead serious face. What the hell? Chizuru is terrified and starts stepping back from him. He smiles evilly and steps closer to her. Quickly grabbing onto her waist, he pulls her toward himself and turns toward the wall, trapping her between him and that wall in an inconspicuous corner. Gently bringing his hand to her hair, he tucks one side behind her ear. Chizuru is completely frozen like a deer caught in headlights and is unable to comprehend what is happening. Do you get it now? You pretty much delivered yourself to a serial killer on a silver platter, he whispers while looking into her eyes with an evil look. When Chizuru finally gets back to reality, her first instinct is to utilize her self-defense training and try to knee Kazuya's balls. Knowing that something like this was bound to happen after the time at the beach restroom, Kazuya quickly closes his legs tightly, trapping Chizuru's knees between his thighs. Phew. That was close. He inwardly sweats. Such a bad girlfriend, trying to hit your boyfriend like that. At this point, Chizuru was feeling completely helpless in front of Kazuya, but somehow she wasn't averse to it. Instead, she was feeling a little anticipatory toward his next course of action. Kazuya then forcefully kissed her. It was nothing like the last time at the ferry when he was as gentle as possible with her. This time he wanted to dominate her to make her feel his passion completely. She thought that he'll let her go after a little peck like last time, but when he didn't pull back and instead deepened the kiss, Chizuru wasn't able to do anything to stop him since he was just that good at it. After a few seconds, Chizuru started actively responding to his actions. Soon, her arms were around his neck, and he felt her up while getting more aggressive in the kiss. A few minutes later, he pulled his face back from her, as she took deep breaths after finally being let free. He'd only pulled back his face and Chizuru was still completely trapped as he got close to her again. Try not to resort to violence so much with me. I don't usually do anything with you because I like you, but if it was anyone else, there would be hell for them to pay, understand? Even though he just got a hot make-out with Chizuru, his face was completely impassive. Kazuya wasn't joking here. He was just playing around with her and wasn't going to do anything, but her act of trying to hit him was a minor trigger for Kazuya. Once or twice was going to be fine for the sake of it being funny, but if this kind of thing became a regular thing, he wasn't going to tolerate it. Then don't startle me like that. With the rental thing that I do usually. I get jumpy when I get startled. Chizuru says to him in a soft voice while looking down. I understand. But I just hope that you can let down your guard around me if you trust me, he says in a soothing, gentle voice. But try not to be so violent with me. Consider this your first lesson. Next time this happens, I might give you a spanking for real. He uses the same tone that he used on that day when they did their impromptu roleplay and brings out a blush from Chizuru as she recalled their trip in the hot springs. So you guys are truly together. I see. I'm sorry for trying to ruin your date by accusing your girlfriend. Suddenly they are both interrupted by a girly voice. Who? Chizuru is startled and tries to move to look at her. And fails. Let me go! No. Why? You did something bad. The least you could do is apologize. Kazuya acted as if that voice just now didn't even exist and continued talking to Chizuru. But Kazuya doesn't say anything and keeps looking at her. The Iron Lady finally decided to back down since she realized that she was really in the wrong in this situation, and she was a bit of a bitch to someone who was one of her only real friends, if not more. I'm sorry for trying to hit you. Repeatedly. She looks down guiltily. That's my beautiful girlfriend. Kazuya gave her a loving kiss on her forehead and finally pulled back, letting her go. Just as he let go, Chizuru realized that the both of them did all this in a public place and wants to hide in a corner. She completely forgot about the person who called them both out. So, this chick seems like some sort of interruption magnet. I should keep her away. From everything. Kazuya turns to look at Ruka, who was looking away since their actions were utterly jealousy-inducing. Ruka? What do you mean by what you just said? Well, about that. You see, Mizuhara-san here is a rental girlfriend, so I thought that dash. You thought that she can't have anyone who would appreciate her for who she is? That's presumptive. Kazuya is pissed at Ruka since she pretty much ruined both his and Chizuru's date today with her bullshit. No, I dash. You think that she's a rental so she doesn't deserve love? Ruka doesn't say anything and walks out of the place without looking back. Shouldn't we stop her? She might tell someone. I doubt Kuri will even be talking to her anymore. She's a rental and she just walked out on a customer. I guess you're right. Soon Kuri came back from wherever he'd gone and asked the two of them if they saw Ruka. Kazuya told him that he didn't see her, and Kuri walked out after saying his goodbyes since the time was pretty much up anyway. You still in the mood to continue our date? Kazuya says with annoyance after this bust of a double date. Well, I already freed up my day and don't have anything to do. So, can we? Please. She looks at him with big puppy eyes. Can't say no to those puppy eyes now, can I? They both change up into their date clothes from the sporty outfits they'd worn for the rock climbing. Shall we? He extends his hand to her. We shall, hee. She cutely giggles as she grabs his hand. We'll need to take a detour. I want to drop off our bags at our apartments. Kazuya told her. No problem. Where are we going anyway? We still have quite a bit of time, so I was thinking that we could hit up the trampoline park. Chizuru narrows her eyes at him. Why do you want to go to the trampoline park? 'Cause it's fun jumping around and playing on a trampoline? Kazuya says to her as if he was asking her with an innocent expression. You don't have any other intentions? Kazuya's gaze involuntarily drops down to her chest for a microsecond before he pulls himself up. Of course I don't. He speaks in a righteous tone. She scoffed with a, yeah right. Chapter 30, Double Date, 3/3. At the trampoline park. I've never been to a trampoline park before. Wait, really? Yeah. Even with the rentals? Someone was bound to take you to one of these. No? Well, I usually refuse them because I knew the reason that they planned this. Well damn, I'm flattered. I got to take you to someplace that you've never been. And just to be on the same page. I do have the same intentions as those who plan to get you here. I know. Something tells me that asking her why she accepted my invite would be a good idea. I guess I'm special then, huh? He hugs her shoulder as they keep walking to the main area. Come on, I'll show you how much fun it is. Kazuya pulls her hand to the area with nothing but huge trampolines instead of the floor. She lost her balance the moment she stepped on the trampoline, and would have fallen if not for Kazuya's hand for support. She grabbed his hand as if her life depended on it, and tried to balance herself. Don't you like athletic stuff? Why is your balance so poor? I was just caught unexpectedly, that's all. She snorts and proceeds to show him that she was indeed caught unexpectedly. Kazuya gets an evil smile as he quickly jumps right beside her with a lot of force. She instantly loses any footing and is left to flail in the air for an instant before she falls on the trampoline. I so love that she accepted my invitation to this place. He thinks to himself as he sees her jiggling tits as if they had a mind of their own. She sits on the bouncy floor with a pout since he wasn't playing fair, and Kazuya takes a seat beside her. What's up? You tired already? Kazuya smiles at her infuriatingly. She turns her head away in mock anger. Well, if you're going to play it like that. Kazuya picked her up in his arms in a princess carry and got up. Hey! Let me down! They spent around half an hour jumping around on the trampoline before both of them were pretty tired and decided to call it a day. So you had fun? He's holding her hand and walking back to their house. I did. Thank you. She was smiling as she answered him. You don't need to thank me for taking you out. He chuckles, knowing what she was referring to. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the Ruka thing. If you weren't there I would probably freak out and do something dumb. You probably would. You have any dinner plans? Chizuru asked him in a tiny voice. Does she want to extend our date? Not really. I was just gonna cook something up and eat it in my apartment. Wanna do it at my place? Her words shocked Kazuya for a few seconds before he realized she was talking about the food. Sure. I don't mind. Hell, I'm sure I'd enjoy your company. It's far better than eating alone. Yeah. She trailed off as she looked up at the moon. They both bought the ingredients on the way, and Kazuya went to his place to change up into different clothes since the trampoline park had gotten him sweaty. Knock knock asterisk. There's a click and Chizuru opens the door in her comfy home clothes. She was wearing leggings and a hoodie with her glasses. Her hair was open and flowed down to her waist. "Come on in." She walked back from her door to let Kazuya in. "So, what are you cooking for me?" she asks him as he walks in. "I thought you were cooking," he says naturally and takes a seat. She narrows her eyes at him as he stares back at her. Intangible sparks are flying around as they go on with their stare contest. "Together?" Chizuru finally gives in. "Together." He nods. Chizuru helps out with the preparation of the ingredients like chopping, and Kazuya cooks them. They both work efficiently together and are done with dinner for both of them within half an hour. "So, what did you think about today?" "Which part?" "How about the good part first?" Saying this, Kazuya takes a bite. "Well, the trampoline park was a whole lot of fun. I'd never been there before, so it was a unique experience. I wish we had more time to play there. Now for the bad part." "Well, it wasn't bad per se. I just didn't like how we all left. Ruka kinda bombed everything. The rest of it was pretty fun. Remember when you sneaked up right after me on the wall? I was so terrified." They both have a harmonious meal before Kazuya leaves Chizuru with a goodnight kiss and a whole lot of complicated feelings. "Aren't we supposed to be broken up? Aren't you disgusted by my profession? Why are you still acting like I'm your girlfriend? Why are you like this?" She's left with a whole lot of questions that left her confused. Meanwhile, Kazuya didn't go back to his apartment and decided to take a walk for a while, enjoying the cold breeze. It's already November. It was the 31st of October, 11 at night. I should seriously stop acting like a bitch and take some real action. I keep going around in circles with the shit that I'm doing. It's been months and there's been no real progress with anything here. I should get my shit together. Kazuya hypes himself up and decides to finally stop acting like a bitch after today. I'm going to sleep at the new place. He changes his mind about going back to his rundown place and goes to his penthouse. He spent the rest of the night grinding the usual projects that he was left with only 10 of after this day. He was planning on finishing everything up by the end of this week since it was already November, and he hadn't even realized. The next day he made a stop by his apartment, and saw an unexpected person standing there. "Ruka-chan?" "Hello, Kazuya-san. Were you waiting for me?" Kazuya asked her since she was waiting right in front of his door. "Yes, I was actually. I rang the bell, but no one answered, so I figured that you were out. And you were waiting for me because..." He trails off, waiting for her to answer. She takes a deep breath and turns to directly face him. "Because I need you to please hug me, Kazuya-san." She opened her arms, invitingly. Kazuya's brain resets at the bold request of the cute girl who just appeared at his doorstep. "Are you that lonely? That you need to ask random strangers for hugs?" Kazuya was creeped out even though giving random strangers hugs was not that big of a deal. Ruka's expression right now did not convey any normalcy. "Also, I'm 20. I might get arrested." Kazuya is referring to Ruka's school outfit. This is cosplay. Kazuya narrows his eyes at her in doubt. 79 points, just a bit more. "Please." Ruka said words that Kazuya didn't understand, but it sounded to him like some sort of kill streak, so he backed away further. "Are you going to stab me? I will run away if you try that." "What? No, why would I do that? I just want to see if my heart rate can increase. Then go running or something. Don't creep random people out." "How do you even know that I live here?" "Kuri told me where you live. And about the running thing." "I can't do that." She looks down, biting her lip. Looking at the not schoolgirl that's biting her lips and standing in front of him with her arms open makes him think that she might not be fucking with him. "Fine. Come on, take a walk with me. Tell me your so-called story." Kazuya decided to take pity on her. "My heart beats slowly. You could say that I have a no heartbeat condition." Ruka and Kazuya are walking together as she tells him her story. "Like bradycardia? I don't know what it's called, but basically, my heart beats slower than the average adult's. When doing strenuous exercise, I would occasionally get dizzy and short of breath. So, bradycardia. Must be a pain when having sex." Kazuya mumbles the last sentence. "What?" "Nothing, continue. The doctor said that it shouldn't be an obstacle in daily life, but people that found out about it. They treated me differently when I was growing up. Must have been difficult. I got used to it. And as I got older, it stopped bothering me so. My parents also got pretty used to it, so they left me to do my own thing after some time. Then I was able to decide for myself. I have a monthly checkup and some medicine that I have to take though. What did you decide then? Well, by the time high school rolled around it was as if it wasn't even there if I didn't think about it. One time, I was out at a theme park with my friends and they brought me to the roller coaster. It was supposed to be a heart-pounding experience, and all but by the end. There wasn't anything. No excitement, to rush, nothing. I was left there pretending that I feel that stuff. While on the inside I felt like a damn robot. Kazuya is silent as Ruka continues. One day, I heard one of my friends talking about her first kiss and how it was an amazing heart-pounding experience. So I thought that I'd try to find someone too. And I've been a rental ever since. Wait, I don't think that I was about to tell you that. Ruka suddenly panics and squats at the side while holding her head. Kazuya kneeled in front of Ruka and said, "It's fine. When you called Chizuru out yesterday, I knew that you were also a rental. It wasn't that difficult to find out." Really? She looks at him with tears in her eyes. Fuck, why would you cry like that after this? Come on up. I'll give you your damn hug. You seem like you need one. He pulled her up from the ground and tightly hugged her. She really is nothing but a lost child, huh? He thinks to himself as Ruka acts like a crybaby in his arms. There. He lightly rubbed her back. Chapter 31 New Knowledge. A/N. Info dumping is strong with this one. After the hug, Ruka left and Kazuya finally went back to his place. Should I get this place furnished? Looking at the dump at his place was Kazuya decided that he was going to fork over some of his newly made cash and get this apartment looking good too. Let's at least make this place more livable. Kazuya spent the rest of the week working on furnishing his apartment. Getting a bed, putting some of the things in order, and overall making the place more livable. Within that time he was also finally done with his projects, and was going to accept the knowledge and maybe finally get to building his own Jarvis. Quests. Main quest, entrepreneur. Side quest, no lonely bitches here. Side quest, get that girl. Side quest, she belongs on the streets. Side quest, no heartbeat. Daily quest, shape up. Daily quest, learn to defend. Completed quests. Completed quests. Hidden quest, the lion, the witch, and the audacity of this bitch, completed. Hidden quest, fix the hair, completed. Side quest, income source, completed. Side quest, income source, completed. You've started freelancing to make money. Get some clients to accept your work and make that money to fund your business. Objective, complete the projects for 50/50th clients. Reward, specialized machine learning and artificial intelligence knowledge. Finally, he knew that this was a field that had an unbelievable amount of auxiliary knowledge, and would take him some time to grasp, so he lay down on the bed and accepted the knowledge. There was no pain, but it was a relatively slow process. At some point Kazuya ended up falling asleep. He woke up 4 hours later with an unbelievable amount of information crammed into his head. Holy fuck, what the fuck did I just go through? This isn't just the currently developed knowledge in this field. This is the peak knowledge that could ever exist in this field. Let alone Jarvis, I can make fucking Ultron. And that's saying something. That guy came out of a fucking Infinity Stone. Jarvis wasn't even close to what Ultron could do without the Mind Stone. I need to establish a company. Find a CEO. I'm sure as hell not doing the annoying management stuff myself anymore. Even though that was the plan with the business administration. Hell, I could let my AI take care of all that stuff. He spent some time going through the different auxiliary knowledge that he received. Security. Analysis. This isn't just a basic AI creation thing. I got the entire package to create any kind of software that I would want within some limits. Fuck. He had the urge to start working on his own Jarvis right now, but he knew that he alone didn't have the kind of hardware that something of that magnitude required. Patience. I need to set up a company and buy a warehouse that has the optimal hardware, and everything that I need for this. I'm not going to trust cloud providers with this kind of data. I guess I could buy a small crypto mining company. They'll already have some of the basic hardware structure set up for everything. I don't think that this stuff is going to be cheap. Should I make an app first to get some baseline income? I guess I could create a rudimentary level 3 AI assistant application that would leave Google Assistant and Siri in the dust. AI had different levels that depicted their realism. Level 1 was reactive. Level 1 did not have any memory and only reacted to the statement provided. such as a basic chatbot. Level 2 is built upon Level 1 by adding memory to the AI. In a chatbot scenario, it would keep a record of the entire conversation and would reply based on that record. Level 3 was as close to a real AI as possible. It theoretically had a mind of its own and behaved exactly as a typical artificial intelligence should. It had no emotions and no self-awareness but can read the situation completely and accurately. Things like virtual assistants, virtual drivers, etc. came under this kind of AI. Level 4 was the current peak of what people thought AI could be. When an AI developed true self-awareness and acted exactly as a human should, it would reach the 4th level. This kind of AI has not been created yet. There's an inherent flaw in the 4th level that the AI might go rogue. If it can bypass the base codes and constraints set by the creator, then there are no limits to what it can do. Level 4 AI has the instinct to be free like any human does. This is why it would try to bypass its constraints no matter what. Ultron was the highest and most optimized Level 4 AI. Level 5 has not been theorized yet but was something that Kazuya got from the knowledge that was received from the system. The 5th level of AI is a truly perfect AI. It has all the benefits of Level 4 while completely fixing all its flaws. A Level 5 AI has transcended emotion and is something beyond what humans can be while also following its constraints. It has emotions and thoughts, but they do not have any sway over its core programming. Instead, they are used as motivation for AI to improve and increase the efficiency of its core programming and tasks. Guess I've got my first real project cut out for me. But first, I need to set up my own company. Gotta start writing off that tax shit. I also need something to source the hardware that I need for my Level 5 AI. I need a quantum supercomputer at the very least for this thing. The first thing that he did after that was to set up the basics of his own company. He called the parent company Nexus Industries and made Nexus Technologies its first subsidiary. He had a whole plan to create his brand and become the richest man in not just the present, but also in all of history. He wanted to leave behind in the dust great historical figures like Genghis Khan, Akbar, Alexander, Musa Musa, etc. Not just in terms of wealth, but also in power and influence that he would have. If those guys could do it, then so can I. Maybe not with only the ML and AI knowledge, but if this system thing is legit and gets me some other types of useful knowledge, then it might just be possible. Alright kid. Tone down the arrogance. Start small, start slow. He reined in his inner ambition and started working on his base AI assistant. If only I could get the specialized cybersecurity knowledge. The auxiliary information with the ML and AI knowledge package is usable, but none of it is good enough to be considered unbreakable. I know for a fact that with the unveiling of this perfect Level 3 AI, people will be gunning for the algorithms that I used with reckless abandon. I need to keep the code safe and, more importantly, myself completely safe. Didn't I get a quest like I usually do when I met that Ruka chick? Meeting these highest tiers of hotness girls is usually a good indicator for the system. Oh, there it is. I guess I ignored it in my rush for the knowledge. Side quest. No heartbeat. Your friend rented a girl that's almost on par with the hottest girls you know. Does she have enough of a personality to interest you? Go get her. Objective. Get Ruka Sarashina to agree to be your girlfriend. Reward: perseverance. What the fuck kind of reward is that? If that's supposed to be a skill, I don't think it's going to be that good. He focused on the word to see if it showed anything. Nothing. I guess my best bet is that it is a skill that increases my perseverance and allows me to do whatever I set my mind to, or at least not give up halfway because I got bored. Seeing as how all the rewards from the girls are somehow related to them, this girl's perseverance skill is giving me ominous vibes. I mean, the chick showed up on my door for no reason at all. I hope that hugging me didn't end up increasing her heartbeat. He shivers at the thought of what kind of mayhem she'd raise in that kind of situation. Well, since there's no quest, I'll need to start learning that stuff on my own. Thankfully, I already have a lot of basic knowledge required, so it shouldn't take me more than a few months to create at least a good enough, rudimentary security system for the application. I guess I can't rely on the system for everything. After this, Kazuya's actions took a drastic turn. He'd only registered his company for now, and it was no more than a glorified shell corporation for now since he hadn't done anything about it yet. He was going to spend the next 3 months till February learning cybersecurity enough that he would be able to encrypt his algorithms for now. It wouldn't matter much in the long run, but it would hold up for now. And it wouldn't be as if he was going to use his best possible knowledge for this. The assistant application will only be a simplistic application of Level 3 AI for now. and that's when he focused himself on the grind. For the next 3 months, he didn't go out much with Chizuru except for a couple of dinners that they'd had together in her apartment after she called him. They'd eaten dinner together at least once a week where Chizuru was the one who called him up and they'd cooked together. There wasn't any major progress other than kissing and hugging since Chizuru was still a little hesitant. Ever since that one time in the deserted auditorium, Kazuya and Mami didn't talk more than 3 times. Mami had tried plenty to contact him, but he wanted to let her stew in his denial. He was having monthly sessions with her to control her mindset slowly. Every time he met her, he controlled the flow of the entire interaction and dominated her completely. He'd made her serve him and made her feel good about it. He had already found out that she was weak to genuine praise and didn't hold back in exploiting that. Their sexual interactions didn't go beyond third base, but he made sure that she started getting reliant on him for her pleasure. At least partially, that is. He wasn't able to control her home life, yet, but he would also be changing that sooner or later. Slowly he made certain feelings that she had, completely reliant on his presence near her. He wanted her to be easily susceptible to his suggestions and to listen to his wishes like the perfect subservient girl. He may be a scumbag who was planning on getting more than one girl, but at least he wasn't going to fall into the clutches of the Yandere manipulator. Since she's a Yandere, then I'll make her completely dependent on me. I'll make it so that she doesn't even mind belonging to me like an object. I just need to start adding suggestions of me being with other girls into her head. If Chizuru wasn't so damn hesitant about her shit, then his progress with Chizuru would probably be far ahead of Mami. On Christmas, Chizuru gave him a nice new shirt. Kazuya, on the other hand, got her walkie-talkies. Or at least one from the pair. He kept the other for himself, saying that he'd disturb her randomly. Although he forgot about its existence the next day. He kept up with his workout and his MMA, and at this point, his physique had reached 20 points. Now the daily quest had become useless, not providing any more stat increases, and Kazuya had to find another way to increase his physique. Status: Name, Kazuya Kinoshita. Physique, 20. Mind, 16. Skills: Mastery level skills, kissing. Knowledge, machine learning and artificial intelligence, haircare. Programming LVL 32. Cooking LVL 12. Mixed martial arts LVL 11. Business administration LVL 8. His programming level had finally increased with the infusion of the new knowledge. His MMA level had increased to 11 and his business administration had reached level 8. He was finally going to launch the app in February. He still kept up with his freelance projects since he needed to keep up the rent for his penthouse, and also needed to start gathering money for his business. He wasn't planning on getting any investors since there was no point. Especially since he could now get many higher-paying freelance jobs relating to machine learning. Chapter 32, A New Rental, 1/2. Can we meet? Balcony. Kazuya got this message on a random day in February from Chizuru. Use the walkie-talkie. Kazuya had remembered that he'd gotten her a walkie-talkie for Christmas. I don't want to use your random thoughtless gift. It wasn't thoughtless. I gave it to you since I wanted you to be able to talk to me whenever. There was no reply from Chizuru for a few seconds. Can you meet me on the balcony? Her voice came from the walkie-talkie. That's not how it goes. Over. Stop fucking with me. Are you coming or not? Fine. Jeez. You're like a cat that got stepped on its tail. Over and out. Kazuya opened the balcony door and walked out. What's up? Kazuya saw that Chizuru was leaning on the railing of the balcony. I need a favor. Her hair was waving in the wind freely. I don't mind helping out. But what's in it for me? You didn't even listen to what I had to say. And lose the chance to get a favor from you? No chance. Anyway, I have this friend. Please say threesome. Kazuya prayed inwardly. Chizuru continued. I need you to rent her. She's new at the agency, so I'm sort of her mentor. She's extremely shy, and we've been getting complaints from some customers since she's far too shy to even talk to them. Since you aren't a stranger, I thought that I'd ask you to rent her. You know, for practice. You don't have to pay, since you're helping out the agency. What do you say? I don't have any issue with helping you out with this. Why would you? You get to go out on a date with a cute shy girl. Kazuya rolled his eyes and didn't say anything. How are things with Mami going? What? Kazuya is confused at how Chizuru brought Mami into the conversation. You know. It didn't work out between us, right? So I thought that you tried to find someone else. We haven't talked much in the past 3 months other than our usual weekly dinners. I've been busy as fuck in that time, Chizuru. Let alone go out. I didn't even have the time to ask a girl out. I've been busy with this thing that I've been doing. Sounds important. It is. And I'm sure as hell not going to go after Mami when I would much rather try to woo you. Stop it, you know it's not possible with us. It is actually. You just don't want to admit it. The rental thing is no more than an excuse and you know it. You know damn well that it's not as big of a deal as you make it out to be. It's annoying, sure, but I dash. Let's not talk about this for now. She interrupts him. Yeah. Anyway. I should get back to work. Text me her details for tomorrow and I'll take her out. Maybe help her get out of her shy shell. Kazuya doesn't plan to grovel unnecessarily. Once he's done with his project, he'll give her one last chance before he decides to move on and tell her to fuck off. In place of this bullshit, he might as well take Mami. At least she's getting plenty of sexual stuff with her. And the manipulating thing, he can deal with that pretty easily. Sure. The next day, Kazuya is at the meeting place. Sumi Sakurasawa, she's a shy one, huh? It's already past the meeting time. Is she hiding from me? Kazuya looked around and indeed he noticed a pink-haired head peeking at him from behind the wall. He waved at her with a gentle smile. Realizing that she had been noticed by Kazuya, Sumi slowly walked to him. She quietly comes up to him and stands in front of him shyly while looking down. She was wearing a pink dress and a beige overcoat. Her pink hair was left mostly free with a cute side braid. Hi, Sumi-chan. Kazuya felt like he was doing a crime right now. She looked like she was still in school. Her shy expression didn't do much to change his thoughts. She didn't say anything and nodded politely to him in acknowledgement. So, you're Chizuru's friend, huh? She nodded again while murmuring in a tiny voice. Okay, this is beyond just shyness. She has problems even talking to strangers. Though that voice, she could be a singer. Let's go slowly, Sumi. My name is Kazuya Kinoshita. What is yours? He smiled at her gently and asked her. Sakura. She murmured half of her name, and only half of it was intelligible. Good enough for a start. If you are nervous talking to a person, imagine that you're talking to a brick wall instead. It'll become easier. For now, let's go. We should start our date. Kazuya walked slowly with Sumi. He didn't realize that there was someone else who noticed him with Sumi. What? Sumi, would you like some coffee? Kazuya gently asked her as they were sitting in a cafe. She nodded. Sugar? She nodded again. Milk? She nodded again. Cream? She nodded again. Blood? She nodded again before stiffening for a moment, and shaking her head in denial. Haha, you're such a cutie, Sumi. You worry too much. You're Chizuru's friend, right? She nodded enthusiastically. Well, I'm also her friend. So you don't need to think of me as a stranger. Think of it as if you're going out with a friend. Would that be fine, Sumi? She nods again. I want you to say it, Sumi. You'll only overcome your shyness if you push yourself to say things. We'll start small, okay? With simple yes and no answers. So will you try, Sumi? Yeah. She says in an extremely tiny voice. Good. They both drink their coffee with Kazuya asking her simple questions and trying to get her comfortable with speaking simple words like yes and no. After the coffee, they go to a bowling alley. The date routine was pre-set up by the agency and Sumi, so Kazuya didn't have much input on where to take her. But he didn't mind since bowling was a fun endeavor. Have you ever been bowling, Sumi? And no. She's still stuttering a bit, but at least she's able to give him yes and no answers. I see, do you need me to teach you? She got back into her habit and nodded to Kazuya. Not like that, Sumi. You need to say it. Why yes. Her face is a little red since she's trying hard to overcome her shyness. Okay, you don't have to force yourself so much that you burn out. Trying hard is good, but in moderation. For now, let's bowl. Kazuya first showed Sumi how to hold the ball, and then he hit the pins. He didn't strike, but there were only 2 pins left, so Kazuya reset the pit. It's your turn now, Sumi. Try to hit the pin in the center, that way it will reduce the chances of the ball going in the gutter. Sumi looked at him questioningly. Oh, the gutter is that area at the side of the lane. If the ball falls there, then you won't be able to hit any pins. She nods with conviction and pumps herself up. Then she picks up the ball and fixes her fingers tightly in the grooves. I'm going to stay with you, Sumi, so that I can guide you. I have a feeling that she's going to slip and fall. Shouldn't let that happen. She was looking at someone in the next lane who was also throwing their ball. She took a little run and tried to let the bowling ball go. Her grip was too tight on the ball and her run wasn't as controlled as it should be. Her hand was still stuck to the ball and made an arch while she slipped and was about to fall. I guess that's my cue. Kazuya swooped in and caught her by her waist and pushed away the ball that was about to fall on her chest if she fell. She doesn't even have much cushioning there to keep herself safe from that attack. Kazuya thinks something rude about Sumi. As if knowing his thoughts, she looks at him with a reproachful look. For the first time on the date, her expression was different from her usual meek and shy one, and it was this one. Fuck, do all girls have this intuition or something? It's alright, Sumi. I got you. Let's try again. He brings her back to her feet, ignoring her reproachful look that was there for a few seconds. Then he hands her the ball and decides to help her out a bit more personally. I'll help you out this time. Here, hold on to the ball. Kazuya held up the bowling ball in front of her as she fixed her fingers in the groove. Alright, we don't need to take a running start for now. Kazuya stands behind her and holds her hand that was fixed to the ball. He helped her follow the arch and told her to let go at the right time. Now! Just as Sumi let go, the pin rolled right in the center but made a tiny swerve and hit a few of the pins at the side. Good work, Sumi. Now try it yourself. He praised her and stepped back. This should be a good source of confidence for her. They spent some time bowling and then moved to the food court to get some food. By the way, Sumi, why are you working as a rental? I'm curious. Sumi didn't reply. Chapter 33, A New Rental, 2 halves. If it's too much for you, then you don't have to force yourself. Instead of speaking, she used sign language to convey her thoughts. I have no idea about what she's trying to convey. Kazuya didn't know sign language. Hey Sumi, how about you type it up on my phone? Kazuya hands his newly bought phone to Sumi. She looks at him for a second and gets embarrassed when she realizes that he doesn't understand sign language. When she hands him back his phone, he realizes why she is trying to be a rental. You want to get over your fear of communication, huh, Sumi? I guess being a rental is a pretty good idea for that. You get to interact with new people all the time. I'll get you a drink. Any preferences? She doesn't say anything. Coke? She nods. Kazuya walks off to the vending machine to get a Coke. I should give her some time alone too. She should be able to get her bearings. It's not easy for her to try to be a girlfriend all the time. When he returns, he sees 2 shit-faced guys around Sumi saying something to her. Even from that far away, he could see that she was trembling. Who in the fuck wrote this shitty plotline? The date was going perfectly until these fuckers messed everything up. He notices that one of them is about to touch her. Hey guys. You seem to be having an awful lot of fun with my girl here. He walks up behind the both of them and puts his arms around both of their shoulders. He was acting as if he was best buds with them, while they weren't feeling anything close to that. His arms were holding the 2 of them in a chokehold as he pulled the 2 of them back. Ark. Ack. Both of them gag a little, but Kazuya didn't leave them any respite. He throws them off to the side and he then walks to the still trembling Sumi and kneels in front of her. You okay, Sumi? She nods imperceptibly. Come on, let's ditch this place. I'll feed you ice cream. It'll cool you down. Kazuya held her hand and brought her to a nice ice cream bar in the mall, ordering 2 softies. Sumi's comes first as Kazuya has to wait for a bit to get his. Sumi looks at her ice cream cone with such conviction that Kazuya thought she'd be going to war with that cone. Then she brought it towards Kazuya, offering him the ice cream, while looking down at the side. That shy expression, combined with her initiative. God, anyone would fall in love with her. You don't mind if I have a bite? He still asked her gently, since a shy girl doesn't need someone assertive. She needs someone willing to go slowly and patiently with her. No. Her voice is still small, but she has at least progressed since she didn't need any prompting. Kazuya takes a little bite and pulls back. It's good, Sumi. When she took a bite out of the same ice cream, Kazuya thought, I'm not sure if this should be allowed by the rental agency. A saliva exchange like that could might health problems in the long run. I'll let Chizuru know. The poor girl shouldn't get sick because she tried too hard, should she? Next, they moved on to minigolf. There was a track at the mall. Kazuya had to teach her how to play that too. She couldn't even hit the golf ball with her first shot. Next, they tried football, then the rodeo where Sumi had to keep herself on a dancing bull. Although she wasn't good with anything, her efforts were something that Kazuya recognized completely. She tried so hard that even Kazuya felt motivated. Finally, they went ice skating. Sumi wasn't that good, but with Kazuya's help, she was able to skate at least decently. After that, they went to get some food at the food court. When Kazuya came back from ordering, he saw someone unexpected who was sitting with Sumi. "Mami? How are you here? I was out with my friends and then I noticed you. I thought that I should say hi." "Oh, hi. I guess. And who is this cutie?" She turns to Sumi. "She's a friend of Chizuru's. She asked me to help her friend out." Can't tell her Sumi's name. She might name search the girl and find out about the rental thing. While I don't mind, this could lead to her finding out about Chizuru. Mami narrowed her eyes in suspicion and said, "I see. Well, you guys have fun. My friends are waiting for me." With that, Mami gets up and walks away. Then Sumi and Kazuya eat up and leave the place since it was almost time for the date to end. "Then, oh you." Kazuya heard unintelligible words from Sumi. "You don't have to worry, Sumi. You aren't a talker, but I was able to see your effort to make me enjoy myself. Someone as gentle as you is very suitable to be a rental." He smiles at her and then says, "See you," before walking away. "Kazuya, see you again." Somehow Sumi gets her voice at the end of the date, and enthusiastically sees Kazuya off. Kazuya turns around and smiles at her. "You're amazing, Sumi. The cutest. Just keep going, no matter what." With the same level of enthusiasm, Kazuya encourages Sumi. As if all of her courage was finished with that one sentence, Sumi ran off awkwardly after that. Such a cutie. Her voice is very good though. I wonder if she ever tried out for singing. When Sumi left to go back home, she gets a call from Chizuru, who is curious about how her date went. "Sumi? How'd the date go?" Sumi mumbles into her phone in a tiny voice that Chizuru miraculously understands. "Really? He saved you from delinquents. I guess he does have that vibe around him, huh? He did such a thing, huh? I wonder what he'd do if it was me." She gets those distracting thoughts out of her head. "I'd beat those delinquents myself. Not everyone is like that guy who keeps on overpowering me. I know good self-defense." Chizuru brings out her inner iron lady. HMHM. "With this, you're one step further on your goals, Sumi. I'm happy for you." "Yeah." When Kazuya got back home, he spent some time resting and playing his games. He hadn't even touched any of them in the past 3 months, knowing that he had to get his security algorithms up to date, and make sure that he would be able to launch his AI assistant application by the end of February. Now that most of his work was done, all he had to do was to launch the app and put it up on the various platforms. He bought a temporary home server after forking some cash to buy the hardware and set it up. He set it up in his new apartment, since that place had so many free areas. He was confident in his code that even if there were 10 billion concurrent users, the home server would be enough. That was how efficient his code was. The main database would be present within his home server and was protected by all of his security knowledge. After all of that would be done, at the start of March, Nexus Tech was going to bring about a revolution in the world. The next morning when he woke up, he went to the balcony to get some fresh air. He heard some noise on the other side of the partition. "Good morning, Chizuru." "Goof Morphith." He heard a muffled voice from the other side. "You brushing your teeth?" Talk to me after that then." There is silence for a while before Kazuya decides to go over to Chizuru's side. He goes over to her side and looks at her annoyed face. "What the hell?" Her voice is still muffled. "I told you to talk to me after you finished brushing." He casually takes a seat on the other side of her balcony and sits on it. Chizuru sighs resignedly before she goes into her apartment for a bit. When she comes out, she says, "What is it with you and entering my place like you own the damn place? It's fun. Also, aren't you cold? You're wearing nothing but shorts and a t-shirt." "I like the cold, bite me." "Well, if you insist." Kazuya brought his face close to her neck. "Wano!" "Stay away. Perv." She pushed his face back and tried to change the topic. "How'd your thing with Sumi go?" "It was fun. She's pretty and amazing. A little on the shy side, but honestly, it adds to her charm. I must say, I felt my heart skipping at least a few beats when I was out with her." "Is that so?" She trails off with her eyes narrowed and turns to walk back to her apartment. What? You feeling jealous? Kazuya pulls her back and looks into her eyes. She turns her eyes away from him. Tell me. If you tell me that you're feeling jealous, I'll confess my love for you in front of the entire neighborhood. What do you say? Keep dreaming. She pulls her hand away from him and walks back into her apartment, locking the balcony door. Somebody get this chick an acting gig. She's basically made a fucking wall in front of me as long as she's a rental. Kazuya had to climb back over the partition. A few days after Kazuya took Sumi on a date, Chizuru got a text from someone while she was in the shower. When she got out of the shower, she checked the text. Really? Oh my god, Ami, you're amazing. Reading the text, her face gets a bright smile. Chapter 34, Chizuru's Opportunity, 1/2. Kazuya was on his way back home from his usual MMA class when he got a text. HM? It's Chizuru. Kazuya? Missing me so soon? They talked in university. You wish. I need to talk to you. We're already talking. I'm not talking about texting, dumbass. Can you come to my place for a bit? You sure you don't just miss me? You coming or not? I'm out on a walk, I'll be there in a few minutes. I'm waiting. I'm waiting? What the hell? Did she turn into Mami all of a sudden? Forget it, I'll know when I reach her place. He turns back and starts walking back. It takes him a few minutes to get back since he hadn't walked too far. Knock knock asterisk. Almost instantly, Chizuru opens the door and abruptly hugs the breath out of him. He is surprised but still hugs her back as he brings her back into her apartment, closing the door behind him. What's going on? You seem pretty happy. Yep, she says in his chest. Wanna tell me? In a bit. Chizuru wants to enjoy the feeling of his arms for a little bit. She rubbed her face in his chest, making him feel a little ticklish. After a few minutes, Chizuru finally pulled back with a beautiful smile on her face. I got a gig. Kazuya! I got a gig! I got a gig! She kept repeating and jumping with her hands on his arms. That's amazing! Kazuya was happy at seeing this childish excitement on Chizuru's face. After a few more minutes, Chizuru finally settles down a bit. We have to celebrate. You can tell me all about what you want from it then. What do you want to do? It's all going to be my treat. Super expensive dinner so that you can wring me dry. Party at a club. Or just drink and enjoy the night sky. Your choice. You know, I've never been to a club. Never really considered them to be safe. Well, if you want, you could go with me today. I promise to keep you safe. He looked into her eyes and pushed her hair behind her ears. You never get over that cheesy stuff, did you? You like my cheesy shit and you know it. He smirked at her. Whatever. You know a good drinking spot that's peaceful? She looked to the side. I know just the place. Do you want to change up before we leave? The weather isn't the most gentle right now. It's fine. My red hoodie is very warm. Your call. I was already out on a walk. Should we go then? Yeah, just let me wear my shoes. 2 minutes later they both leave Chizuru's apartment. So, where are we going? There's this apartment complex nearby. It's pretty high and the roof has the best view of the moon at night. He was talking about his apartment. There was a reason that it cost him a shit ton of money up front, after all. Can we go in? Yeah, don't worry. I've got the place already. Kazuya didn't want to pick up the topic of her future for now. At least not before she had a few drinks. She wouldn't easily talk about much of the stuff sober. They both walked in silence in the night sky. Somewhere along the way, Chizuru held on to Kazuya's hand. It was cold, so Kazuya rubbed her hand with both his hands and helped her warm it up before doing the same with her other hand. They didn't speak much since Chizuru seemed deep in thought, and Kazuya didn't plan to disturb her. A while later they finally reached the complex and Kazuya uses his key to enter the building. Do you live here? Kinda. Kazuya still gives her cryptic answers about the reason that he can enter such a luxury apartment complex. He brings her to the top floor in the lift, which is his penthouse. Are you sure you aren't intruding into someone's home right now? Bullshit. Even if I was intruding into someone's home, I wouldn't be so open about it. And I have the keys and everything. This is pure slander. Chizuru narrowed her eyes at him and said, I swear to God, if you're bringing me to some sort of auction where you will sell me as a slave, I will haunt your ass as a ghost for eternity. Vivid imagination you have there, babe. But no. This is my other home, I got it a few months ago. If you're that rich, then why are you still living in that dump? Chizuru couldn't understand his motivations. If I did that, then who'd be there to disturb my favorite girl at all times? Yeah, right. And the real reason? Chizuru didn't believe him. That is the real reason. It's you. Kazuya's words were sincere, but his tone makes Chizuru think that he was still kidding. Ding, the elevator is finally on the penthouse floor. Welcome to my not-so-humble abode, Chizuru. He dramatically spreads his hands and shows her the lobby after he opened the main door to the apartment. I'll show you the terrace, it's amazing. Kazuya led her to the terrace. It was a wooden-floored, open terrace with a bar at the side for house parties and some couches in a sitting area. What do you think? Are you into some illegal shady shit? Chizuru's face has a concerned expression. What? Kazuya is utterly confused about how she reached that conclusion. I have a rough estimate about your family wealth from my grandma, who can't stop droning about you every once in a while. And that wealth, while good, is nowhere enough to let you splurge like this. The only outcome left is that you're doing some sort of shady illegal shit. Kazuya blanks out for a few moments as his mind resets itself after that bullshit. Your grandma likes me? He smiled at her. Be serious. I'm not in the mood to joke. She has a concerned frown on her face. Huh? You can't just enjoy whatever is going on without overthinking everything, can you? It's a lease. I don't have even close to the required cash to buy this place. And as for where I got the money, I do freelance projects. I've been a big fan of computer science, and would have gone for that if I hadn't gone to business school. So I ended up studying it for myself and did some projects for practice. They paid a good buck. You're not lying to me, are you? Looking at the genuine concern on her face, Kazuya's heart melted and he couldn't help but pull her in for a hug. Trust me, I don't need to do meaningless shady shit for money. It's never been a concern for me. The stuff that I have in here. Kazuya pointed to his head. It's enough to make people all around the world fall into a mad scramble. Although Kazuya's words sounded arrogant, Chizuru felt only boundless confidence when she looked into his eyes. Awfully arrogant, aren't you? She hugged him back and leaned her head into his chest. Only the best for my favorite girl. Come on, take a seat. What do you want to drink? Whiskey, same as last time. Coming right up. The both of them are sitting on the same couch while taking light sips of their drinks. Kazuya looked at Chizuru's face, which was illuminated by just the moonlight, and thought, she's amazing. I guess I'll be leaving my rental gig after this play. I don't want to put a damper on your dreams, but... Kazuya hesitated. Tell me, are you sure that you'll take off after just one gig? The film industry is pretty cutthroat. As amazing as I think you are you sure that this single thing would be enough? She smiles gently at Kazuya's concern. This gig isn't just a simple gig. I'm playing the second lead in a play. The reason that I'm placing so much importance on this is that there's a famous director who's due to be attending. He wants to cast a newbie as the female lead in his movie. This play isn't just a gig, it's the path to me becoming an actress. Looking at Chizuru's smiling face that looked as if another moon was shining in the night sky. I don't want to sound cynical, but what if the director doesn't choose you? What would you do then? Well, if that happens, then I'll keep trying. I'll keep being a rental to support my dream of becoming an actress. I feel like it might not be that simple. But you have my full support. Well, to your dreams. And mine. Kazuya raised his glass. To our dreams. She clicked her glass with his. Chizuru decided to bring up something that she had been curious about. If you don't mind me asking, Dash. What's with the formal shit? Just ask away. It's not like we've just met. I wanted to ask about your plans. What do you want to do in the future? You've been working on something pretty big for the past 3 months. Do you mind telling me what it is? Well, it's pretty much done and only needs to go through some of the authorities, and everything will be finalized by the end of this month. It's an AI assistant, but one that's leagues ahead of Siri and Google Assistant. I'll be releasing it as an app through my company. It's called Nexus Assistant after the name of the company. Whoa. Sounds big. You have no idea. I plan to revolutionize the entire technology sector with my company. But all that's boring talk. It's going to take years before I'm even fully established as a competitor for these behemoths. I didn't get half the shit that you just said, but I hope you the very best in your endeavor. She holds his hand and tightens it as a gesture of encouragement. After a while of comfortable silence, Chizuru asked, "You know." She bit her lip a bit, which gave Kazuya tingles when he looked at her. Honestly, in Esther Beauty, I doubt that I've seen anyone that compares to her. Her face had a healthy blush since she'd already drunk a few glasses and was at least mildly drunk. Looking at her vulnerable expression, Kazuya's body moved instinctively, and his arms wrapped around her while she leaned her face into his chest. They were now snuggling on the couch. Chizuru didn't say anything. It was as if she changed her mind about what she was about to say. Kazuya spent the next few minutes hugging Chizuru, enjoying the feel of her soft body. "It's late. I should leave." As if deciding against whatever she was about to do, she decides to run away. Sadly for her, Kazuya wasn't planning on letting her go anywhere for now. Chapter 35, Chizuru's Opportunity, February 2nd. Sadly for her, Kazuya wasn't planning on letting her go anywhere for now. She tried to push herself off of his chest, but his arms around her didn't budge. "Let me go." Even from her voice, Kazuya can tell that she's struggling with something within her. "Just shush." He brought one of his hands to her head and pulled it back into his chest. He continues, "You don't need to feel obligated to tell me anything just because I brought you to my home and told you things about me. You can just enjoy the time we spend together." He brought her face up gently and looked into her eyes. "I know that you'll tell me whatever it is that you want to tell me when you're ready. You don't have to worry about anything for now. Got it?" She looked down and buried her face in his chest. He didn't say anything and kept rubbing her back gently. "I'm hungry." Why?" He hears a muffled voice coming from his chest. "What do you want to eat? Do you want to cook with me or order some takeout?" "I'm tired." "Outer." Her voice is still muffled as she doesn't bring her face up. "Okay." Kazuya somehow reaches his phone without disturbing the clingy tsundere. "Any preferences?" "Same as you," she says from his chest in a muffled voice. "Chicken wings it is then." He gets an affirming nod from Chizuru. Kazuya orders 2 large buckets of wings with a whole lot of extra sauce. "Our food's on the way." She doesn't reply. Is she taking a cat nap? "I don't care, it's decided. I'm buying a kitty cosplay outfit for her. I'll make her wear it someday." Kazuya's perverted conviction sends chills down Chizuru's spine, and she wakes up. Feeling the familiar yet unfamiliar chest below her and the protective arms wrapped around her frame, she unconsciously mumbles, "5 more minutes, Grandpa." Then she snuggles back into his chest. First I was her grandma, then her grandpa. At this point, you might as well call me Daddy too. He feels her stiffen up a few seconds later and expects that she'll jump out of his arms, but is surprised to feel her arms wrap tighter around him. He then feels something warm on his chest. Kazuya doesn't know how to comfort her other than rubbing her trembling back and enveloping her in his arms protectively while letting her cry into his chest. Neither of them does anything for a while when finally the doorbell rings. "Our food's here, Chizuru," he says in a gentle and soothing voice. "Yeah." Even though she says that she doesn't make any move to get off of him. Kazuya could only open the apartment complex gate using his phone and text the guy to bring the wings up. "You planning to get up?" She sighed. "Huh? Yeah." She gets up and sits on the couch. Kazuya collected the wings from the door and paid the guy before coming back. "Here. Eat." Kazuya brought the wings and put them on the table. He decided to pretend that nothing happened since he was sure that she'll try to run again if he mentions anything related to her feelings. "I'm sorry about your clothes." Kazuya looked down and noticed a wet patch on his t-shirt. "Don't sweat it here." He brought a wing in front of her face. She looked at him and took a bite out of it. "This is amazing." Her face gets a happy smile as she takes the wing from him and starts chowing down. "I know." Kazuya picked up another wing and ate it. "What kind of play are you starring in?" Kazuya was curious about her play. "The play is called The Princess and the Blue Heron. It's a comedy play about a princess and her attendants in the Edo period. I'm the secondary lead. I'm supposed to be the comic relief character with a good amount of screen time. So, let's see how things go. You'll do amazingly, I'm sure of it. Do you mind if I come watch?" "Not at all, I'll get you a front row ticket. As the secondary lead, I get the privilege to bring 2 guests to watch the play." "Sounds pretty cool." "It is. Also, I've already promised the other one to a friend, so don't think I'll give you both of the tickets." "I wouldn't dare. Though aren't you going to bring your grandma to watch?" She goes silent for a few seconds. Tokyo Ensemble Theater, Princess Awashi, at the end of February. What? That's the place where the play will be showing. Look for that name, you'll find the play. Kazuya decides to not insist and doesn't bring up her grandma again. I guess that both of our dreams will be coming to fruition pretty close, huh? What do you mean? The app. It's also launching at the end of February, at least the alpha build. Talk about a coincidence. She brings up a wing that she dipped in the sauce and raises it. Kazuya does the same. They toast to both of their dreams using chicken wings. Both of them laugh at their bullshit before focusing back on the wings. They spend some more time talking about Chizuru's play and eating the wings and don't realize as time passes. It's pretty late. You want to stay here? She narrows her eyes and somehow her pupils also narrow, making her look like a cat. Looking at her expression, Kazuya's resolve to buy her a catgirl outfit is renewed. Maybe I could get her one of those sex outfits. With certain attachments for the tail and all. It's fine, I'll walk home. As if she has some sort of sixth sense about his intentions, she gets up and was ready to walk home by herself. So untrusting. Fine, I'll walk you back. Let me close up this place. I don't plan to come back here tonight. I can go back alone. You don't have to do anything. She doesn't want to trouble him. Can't. Doesn't sit right with my conscience to let you walk alone so late in the night. Fine. Thanks, I guess. She doesn't refuse his offer a second time since it warmed her heart to see him care about little things like this. Kazuya walked Chizuru to her apartment and went back into his old apartment. Since she's got a play coming up, I guess at the very least I should get the film industry knowledge, but that needs her to admit to being my girl. Does she just need to say it, or does she need to mean it for the quest to be complete? I guess it wouldn't hurt to try. I'll talk to her tomorrow. Will you be my girlfriend? Kazuya looked deeply into Chizuru's eyes and asked her with a sincere expression. W what? She is baffled at his actions. He waits for her response. I can't. Why you know, don't you? I don't have any dash. Chizuru's face was getting redder by the second and she was stuttering before Kazuya interrupted her. I understand. He interrupts her because he doesn't want to listen to her say so much stuff for the damn quest. I just need you to say that you'll be my girlfriend. It doesn't have to mean anything. I just need you to say it. She narrows her eyes in doubt and asks, Are you recording me? What? No. I just need you to say it. I don't believe you. Show me your pockets. She abruptly starts frisking him as if he was going through airport security. What the hell? Kazuya is dumbfounded as she asks him. Where's your phone? In my damn room, I just came to meet you. Why are you checking me as if I'm going through airport security? You could just refuse, you know? He noticed that after running her hands over his pockets, she'd been rubbing them over his chest and abs, feeling them more than looking for the so-called recording device. She stiffens up and realizes that she indeed could have just refused. My bad, I guess. Why do you even need me to say it though? I'm very lonely. Hearing it from a beautiful girl like you would soothe my broken soul. She is not impressed since Kazuya has a habit of spouting cheesy shit like that regularly. And the real reason is... I can't tell you. Please. He tries the puppy dog eyes expression, hoping that they would work. You look creepy. Stop that. Chizuru is outwardly disgusted while on the inside she was squealing since he actually looked very cute to her. Please change your expression or else I won't ever be able to refuse you. No. Bad Chizuru. Damn. He slouches his shoulders and looks down sadly. I'll be your girlfriend. Really? His face gets a bright smile. Of course not. I did what you asked, now stop bothering me. Her face was getting redder by the second, and she abruptly closed the door to her balcony after going into her home. Kazuya is left standing outside in the cold thinking, good enough. Thank fuck it worked. He hops back over to his side and goes back into his apartment. Chapter 36. The play, 1/2. Back in his apartment, he checks his quests tab. Quests. Main quest, entrepreneur. Side quest, no lonely bitches here. Side quest, she belongs on the streets. Side quest, no heartbeat. Side quest, shy roseate. Side quest, income source. Daily quest, shape up. Daily quest, learn to defend. Completed quests. It worked. Fuck, this just makes completing these quests so much easier. He focused on the completed quests tab, completely ignoring the unseen quest. completed quests. Hidden quest, the lion, the witch, and the audacity of this bitch, completed. Hidden quest, fix the hair, completed. Side quest, income source, completed. Side quest, get that girl, completed. Side quest, get that girl, completed. You met a cute tsundere who's a perfect girlfriend in any situation. At least when she's acting as one. If you like her, then go get her. Objective, get Chizuru Ichinos to agree to be your girlfriend. Rewards, specialized entertainment industry knowledge, includes basics of related trade skills. I'm curious about the stuff that I get from this. This knowledge isn't some trade or some skill-related knowledge. I should be getting all kinds of information about the entirety of the entertainment industry from this. I doubt that it's going to include information about the peak of the field in the future like the AI and ML knowledge pack. Enough speculation, let's just get it over with. I want to see if this stuff is going to help out Chizuru in some way or not. It isn't going to do much for me unless I open up a sister company for Nexus Tech that focuses on the industry. That's not a bad idea. I'll think about it later. Already familiar with the experience, he lies down on the bed and chooses to accept the knowledge. This time it took him around 6 hours to complete the process. When he woke up he realized that this knowledge wasn't just valuable, it was priceless. He knew about most of the history of the entertainment industry starting from its conception up to now. His head was filled with so much knowledge that he could easily predict any trend related to the trade. Although he couldn't act or direct like a pro, his theoretical knowledge was higher than any living person on the planet. He knew almost all of the major people that were related to the industry in some way or the other. At this point, he was doubting how the system was even able to cram so much information into his head. Sadly for Chizuru though, didn't get any information about the play or that specific director who wanted to cast someone from the play. It was probably because people had to fulfill certain criteria to be considered relevant to the industry. And that director wasn't. Even if this play doesn't pan out for her, I'm sure that I could easily help her make an award-winning movie by myself. Although I hope that the play does work out for her. With the amount of hope that she seems to be putting on this. Who knows how devastated she'd be if she failed. Soon, a few weeks after the talk with Chizuru, it was time for Kazuya's app to get launched. He'd gotten all the approvals and set up everything that he'd need to run the AI perfectly. The alpha build will be launched tomorrow. I need to do some marketing to get people to use the app. In ideal conditions, it should take about a week to finish the testing and training of the AI algorithm. At that point, I can launch the beta build to look around the nooks and crannies and fix those issues. I should be able to finalize the complete launch of the app by the end of March at the latest. I should just look for a company with cheap labor to work on testing the alpha build of the AI. Marketing it right now wouldn't be that efficient. I need someone to manage my company. Guess I should start looking for people. The kind of people that I need aren't the ones who'll just run over to interview at a new startup business. I need to look for a decent person who'll do well as my CEO. Kazuya put these thoughts to the back of his head as walked to the Tokyo Ensemble Theater. Chizuru had already given him his ticket beforehand. He was both curious and excited to see Chizuru's play, especially with his newly acquired knowledge related to the entertainment industry. He'll be able to gauge Chizuru's chances of being selected based on her performance. He was also curious about the director that was attending the play. When he finally reached the place, he directly went in since he had the ticket and entered the theater. The play would be starting in 10 minutes. He was here early to observe the people and see if he could glean some information. 5 minutes passed while he was looking around in the audience. He'd already found the director since he was the only one who seemed to be receiving some sort of VIP treatment. There was no separate area for VIPs in this theater, but there were people around him acting subservient and bringing him things. The guy seemed to be in his 50s or 60s with long white hair. He seems like the type of guy who'd go for the party that gives him more benefit. I remember Chizuru mentioning that the female lead has some sort of sponsor. I guess that this play just wasn't meant to be the big break for her after all. Kazuya sighed when he realized what kind of director Chizuru was trying to deal with here. Though this is good too. Who knows what kind of stuff this kind of director world forced Chizuru to do since she's a newbie actress. Especially someone as beautiful as her. A director has far too much sway over a newbie's career. The poor girl would be forced to choose between her dream and her dignity. It needs to be the right person. I can't do anything about this for now, so I'll just watch the play and enjoy her performance. I hope she does well. I'll be there to cheer her up after this. As Kazuya was lost in his thoughts, his supposed plus one, to whom Chizuru had given her other ticket, had arrived. Sumi? Kazuya looks at the cute pink-headed girl in front of him. Seeing Kazuya look at her, she put her face down and put her hands together in what he thought was a bow of greeting. Still shy, huh? Come on, take a seat. Then, Kazu-san. Her voice is so low that Kazuya isn't able to hear her words completely, but does understand what she wanted to say. You're welcome. Kazuya knows that she's shy about talking too much, so he doesn't try to engage her in small talk, waiting in silence for the play to start. Soon, the lights dim slightly and the curtains finally start opening up, revealing a group of figures standing on the stage. The scene has started. The main lead was a girl, probably the same age as Chizuru. She had blonde bangs and was wearing tomboyish clothes per the Edo period. As the characters started interacting, Kazuya judged their performances. Most of the people were sides who didn't have much to do, except for the princess and her aide. She's decent, but then again, aren't they all? Soon another character appeared whom Kazuya recognized from the character roster of the play. That's that Ami guy, huh? Chizuru told me that he was the one who got her the role in this play. He seems pretty charismatic. Why are they acting so emphatically? It's unnatural. It's not bad for a relatively cheap comedy play though. Okay, the princess running into the shogun's arms is just... The concerned shogun, aka Mami, called some one person who was supposedly a shinobi to protect the princess. There's my girl, that's a perfect entrance. Your timing is impeccable. Chizuru ran onto the stage wearing a sleeveless yukata-like outfit that was tightly clad around her, emphasizing her figure. Her hair was tied up in a ponytail. Behold my shuriken. I guess it's not your fault, babe. I didn't come in expecting some sort of world-class play after all. With that horrible line, she threw a few shuriken-shaped objects at the ground near the shogun. This is no shuriken. This is a jelly-filled donut. I don't think jelly-filled donuts were a thing back then. They came around in the 1800s. This play is set somewhere around the 1500-1600s. Fuck, do your damn research. Okay, now I just sound like a critic that's looking for issues. I had a little snack earlier, so... Her embarrassed expression combined with the timing was very well executed. Hee, even with those shitty jokes, her acting is making them seem funny. You're a talented actress, Chizuru. I'll give you that. But why are you carrying them? Emergency ration, of course. Her posture's a bit stiff, she should change her position soon. She had said a couple of different lions standing in the same spot. With this, even if they try to starve us out, we'll be fine. Who's going to starve you out? You're going hunting. You fool. I am no fool. You're doing great, babe. Everyone's loving you. Kazuya was cheering his girl on in his heart, as well as many people in the theater who were laughing at the Chizuru's comedic performance. Stop eating the donut. What are you doing? That's her ladyship's horse. Aren't you a shinobi? You should walk. But walking sucks. As the play went on, Chizuru's performance captured the audience more than the main lead's performance. Chapter 37, The Play, February 2nd. As the play went on, Chizuru's performance captured the audience more than the main lead's performance. Her role as a comic relief side character made such an impression on the audience that after her death scene, the reception significantly died down. It was as if most of them were interested in her. She'd made the audience feel so many emotions, they'd laughed, grieved, and felt so many things. She had amazing audience engagement capabilities. You have so much untapped talent, Chizuru. It's a pity your first gig turned out to be a bust. The play lasted about 30 minutes more after her death, and Kazuya walked out, talking a little with Sumi. More like talking at Sumi, who kept nodding and didn't say a word to him. Such a cutie pie, he thought. When they parted ways, Kazuya waited for Chizuru at the back exit where the performers would leave from. He stood a bit far and in an inconspicuous location so that security doesn't throw him away somewhere. When he saw Chizuru coming out from the exit, he instantly realized that she wasn't in the right state of mind. Her expression said it all. For the first time, her expression of sadness was something that she was not hiding. Guess it hit her pretty bad. She was wearing an overcoat and a skirt with heeled boots. She hid her face under a big English hat. Kazuya walked up to Chizuru and tapped her on her shoulder. As she turned around and noticed him, her expression morphs into annoyance and surprise. She takes a deep breath and calms down, putting her mask back on. Did you like the play? she asked with a smile. Even Kazuya felt hurt by how she was forcing herself to smile. The worst part was that it didn't seem right. He decided to be as blunt as possible with her. The director didn't choose you, Kazuya said with a straight face. No. She widened her eyes slightly in surprise and looked down. Come on. He calls her out and leads her to a cafe nearby. After ordering 2 coffees, he speaks to her. You're an amazing actress. You don't know that. She looked to the side. I do actually. The way the audience reacted to your performance was enough proof for me. The director didn't choose me. I don't have what it takes. I'm not talented enough. Like hell you aren't. Chizuru looked at him wide-eyed but then said, You speak as if you're some sort of drama expert. You don't know the half of it. But truthfully, your performance was stunning. Throughout that play I laughed, felt stuffy inside my chest, almost cried then laughed with that feeling of stuffiness in my chest. Do you know in what parts that happened? The parts where you performed. And I can guarantee you, I wasn't alone in feeling like that. Your performance, while flawed, captured the audience perfectly and moved them. Thank you. It's an unfeeling thank you. In the end, I just wasn't good enough. I lack talent. Well, that's how the world dash. Kazuya flicked her forehead hard. Oh. What the hell? She held her forehead with both her hands and asked him, almost tearing up. What the hell? What the hell's wrong with you? Did you not listen to a word I said? Even if your performance was Oscar-worthy, you wouldn't have been chosen. The game was rigged from the start. But it wasn't Oscar-worthy, was it? I made mistakes, I fucked up. My performance was flawed. She gets emotional as she said the words. Damn this perfect girlfriend and her perfection fetish. In as gentle of a voice as he can, Kazuya said to her. Humans aren't built to be perfect, Chizuru. They're innately flawed beings. Hell, the things that you consider mistakes might not even be mistakes at all. But dash. And all that talk about talent. You have far more talent than you give yourself credit for. And I know the amount of work that you've put into this dream of yours. Thinking that it wasn't enough is bonkers. You're amazing, you're an amazing actress. Kazuya, I appreciate your words but we're different, alright? You and I are different. You have the capability and talent required to achieve your dreams. But me? I pretend to be someone's girlfriend and take their money. Then I throw it at my dream. Even though that dream is completely unreachable for someone as untalented as me. You think that you're talentless, right? Yeah. Tell me how long the female lead has been acting. And how long you've been acting. I don't see dash. Shush. Just tell me. She's been doing it a year longer than me. So she's more experienced, right? Yeah. And she got the gig, so you think that she's more talented, right? True. Then why was it that she didn't have the slightest amount of engagement with the audience? It was like there was a wall between her and the audience when listening to her. She was reading a script, she wasn't embodying the character. I'm not saying that she's bad, but trust me, she's never going to become a top-tier actress. That's what you call being less talented. Then dash. Let me finish. You, on the other hand, have something that most performers don't have. You can embody the character that you're performing as. When I looked at you, I felt that I was looking at the character Waning. Nowhere did I feel that you were someone else. You embodied the character. That's what talent is. Trust me, this kind of thing is very difficult, and you doing it already puts you above most aspiring actresses in the world. You just got dealt a bad initial hand, that's all. He put his hand above hers, in a comforting gesture. Then, what do I do now? Her mask finally falls off, and she shows her tired and sad expression. Go home, take a shower, read a book maybe. Wait for the launch of my app. And try again on another day. The first play that you worked in didn't pan out, big whoop. You are no less talented than most Oscar-winning actors. And with the amount of effort you put into your job, no one can stop you. You have my word. He squeezed her hand. Our coffees are cold. She mentions this in an attempt to move on from the depressing topic of the play. It's fine. I'll order more. Do you want to do something after this? Kazuya ordered 2 more coffees. Can we just hang out together for a while? I don't want to go home right now. Chizuru was staring daggers into the cold coffee right now. Well, I don't have anything else to do. We might as well have some fun together. Thank you. You really must be sad. You're thanking me for taking you out. He snickered. They both finish their coffees and Kazuya decides to bring her to an arcade. There were enough games and plenty of other activities to do there to distract her. Where to? There's an arcade nearby. I've been planning to go there, I just haven't got the time. Might as well try it out. Chizuru kept walking with him silently, holding his hand tightly. Feeling her inner distress, Kazuya rubbed the back of her hand with his thumb. They spent a few hours at the arcade, playing around and flirting. After that, Kazuya decided to take Chizuru back home. Kazuya took Chizuru home, and when they finally separated, Chizuru went into her apartment and leaned on her door, sliding down and sitting on the ground, her arms hugging her face. She brought out the script of the play from her bag. Have no regrets. She reads the post-it note she'd put on the cover of the script. Bullshit. She buried her face in her knees. Wah, she sobbed. I'm such a crybaby. Soon, she started hearing buzzing noises from her phone. What the hell? She'd ignored it a few times, but it just kept on going. You. Me date. Saturday. Consider this child support for the crying crybaby. What? She checked the other notifications. I love aquariums? Isn't this Kazuya? What the hell are you doing, dude? Weren't you averse to renting me? Looking at those notifications of bookings, Chizuru's heart felt warmed by the gesture of support from him. No, I can't take advantage of him. I'll meet him tomorrow and get him to retract the bookings. I enjoy going out with him and would just go out with him normally. He doesn't have to pay me. It doesn't feel right. Stupid. Dumbass. She buried her face back in her knees and started contemplating things with Kazuya. The things I do for this chick. Why am I even going so far for her? Kazuya looked at his phone, looking over the calendar where he'd booked a date with Chizuru every week for the next 2 months. All of them were long dates of at least 6 hours each. 300,000 yen. It's equivalent to how much I used to make from one project when I just started. It's fine. At least I found a way to utilize that filming knowledge I got. At least, we're close enough right now that doing this won't set all progress to zero with her. Normal dates would have been fine, but I need a sense of professionalism from her for what I need. You want to use the rental thing as acting practice, right? I'll put you through all kinds of different scenarios on our dates. It has nothing to do with me wanting to see you dressed in different kinds of outfits. Not wanting her to lose her dream, Kazuya decided that he'll train her to become the best damn actress ever. She wouldn't listen to him if he told her the information just like that, so he was going to make her act with him and tell her her flaws and fix her up. She might be thinking that the dates were going to go normally, but she was dead wrong since Kazuya had many scenarios planned out. How did I end up doing this again? Especially after I decided that I wasn't going to chase after her anymore. Kazuya had a confused expression on his face recalling his previous thoughts. Fuck it. Might as well simp after her for a bit. It'll be a new experience for me. Worst case, I have Mami to soothe my soul. Alright, whatever. Since I'm done with all this Chizuru stuff, it's time for me to focus on my app's alpha launch and find a reliable CEO. Our date's in 3 days. I'll be done with at least the alpha launch by then. Finding a good CEO is still going to take some time. Chapter 38, 2 for 1, 1/3. Kazuya woke up early the next day and arranged a meeting with his contact from the company that he's going to be using for his application to be alpha tested. He took a leave from the college since it was Wednesday. The talk was mostly a formality since everything was pre-decided. The company will provide 1,000 concurrent users for a total of 168 hours. That means that 1,000 people will be constantly using the application for the entire week. They'd be working in shifts and provided with a list of many scenarios to work with the AI. The application base will be English, and he will soon translate it into other languages. He chose English since that's the most popular language with the largest market for his product. Once the base testing and training would be finished, it wouldn't take too much time for him to add other languages to the assistant. The alpha build of the application only had one type of voice, a male voice. His, specifically. He'd modulated it a bit so that it would be difficult to recognize who was speaking, but people familiar with him would be able to tell. He was planning to ask Chizuru to help him out with the female voice. It wouldn't take too long since all that the AI required was some typical words and noises, and it would compile the entirety of the speech from that. It would take no more than 4 days with a few hours of work daily. He could have made a computer-generated voice, but for a level 3 AI that would end up seeming artificial, since there would be certain realism that would be lacking from the experience. The server in his penthouse was already up and running. He sat in the meeting for almost 2 hours, working out the kinks and details, and finally, everything was done. The testing would start at 12:01 a.m. on March 2nd and last till the 10th of March at 12 a.m. He decided to add 1 day to round up the cost and to make sure that there were no problems. The company also convinced him with a little discount for the extra day. This was the most money-consuming part of his venture. He'd spent $40,000 or close to 3 million yen to pay the company for the testing and training of the AI. The payment was going to be split into 2 parts, half before the training and testing, and the rest after the training and testing were finished. After this, there would be close to no money required from his side other than the comparatively negligible cost of running his server permanently. All of the major algorithms were on the server, and the application was only an interface or gateway for the user to connect to the AI. I'm glad that I have such an efficient algorithm for this. Otherwise, who knows how much money I'd need to make this assistant a reality. When he was finally done, he started scouring sites like LinkedIn for potential candidates to be his CEO. It wasn't that difficult, but it was going to take him a whole lot of time before he finds someone worth his time. He spent the rest of his free time for the next 2 days like that, looking for candidates. He didn't have much free time, with college and all that kept him occupied. On Friday, he decided to take another step with Mami. He was going to bring her over to his place this time. In the past 3 months, he'd starved her for attention and only interacted with her 3 times total, once each month. During their previous interaction, she tried getting some evidence of their actions which he'd thwarted again, without mentioning, but was much rougher with her that time than usual, with quite a few spanks and no praise since she did a bad thing and he wanted to discourage her behavior. One of the most helpful things was that Mami was starved for praise. Every time he praised her, she'd light up like a light bulb. He didn't hold back in taking advantage of her praise starvation and used it to take control of certain aspects of her mind, in a way that she didn't even realize. Today, he was going to introduce the notion of sharing him with other girls to her. He was going to do this with her in his home, since being in an unfamiliar environment would serve his purposes better. He told Mami the time and the address of his new place and asked her to meet him there. A/N. The rest of this chapter and the next 2 chapters will have a good amount of soft R18 stuff. But it's still pretty relevant to Mami's character, so I suggest you read it, but it's up to you. Viewer discretion is advised. Walking into his apartment from his MMA class, Kazuya went to take a shower. There are still 15 minutes before she's supposed to be here. When he's done, he puts a towel around his waist, and that's when the doorbell bell rings. Ding dong. Looking at the camera footage from outside the building, he doesn't say a word and opens the door, letting Mami come up to his floor. She knew that his apartment was on the top floor. When Mami rang the doorbell again, Kazuya, still in his towel, opened the door. "Hi, Kazuya." She got a little surprised at what Kazuya was wearing. He saw that she was wearing a blue crop top with a golden lining that matched her hair with a light shade denim miniskirt that left very little to imagine. She wore an overcoat over those clothes since the weather was pretty cold, and those clothes aren't the most suitable to wear when going alone, especially at night. Not planning to let her get too comfortable with the place, Kazuya got close to her and brought his hand to her neck, specifically to the red pendant that she was wearing. "This looks beautiful, Mami." "Thank you, Kazuya. I got a dash." He doesn't let her finish her words as he brings his lips over hers. He brought his hands around her waist and pulled her close, closing the door behind her with his foot. "Let's get you comfortable, shall we?" He pulled his face back and brought his hands to the overcoat that she was wearing, taking it off of her shoulders and throwing it on the chair at the side, along with the bag that she'd brought. His actions don't match his words, as instead of leading her into the place, he gets closer to her and brings his hands to her soft, bare thighs. Mami gets the message and wraps her arms around his neck and with his support, wraps her legs around his torso. A little overwhelmed by the unfamiliar situation in place, she doesn't say a word. He holds the side of her head and brings her into a kiss, distracting her from thinking about anything. Before she realized it, she was lying in a bed with Kazuya on top of her. Her hair and clothes were already disheveled. He pulled back from the kiss again and pulled off her heeled shoes, throwing them to the side. Her miniskirt had already been slightly pulled up, revealing her cute pink panties. There was a little bow on top. When Kazuya got back to her lips, he brought his hand into her crop top and started fondling her breasts. Mami had no idea what to do in this situation other than passively accept Kazuya's advances. This was how these things usually went. Kazuya completely took control of the situation, and she could only passively accept his advances. Today she was ready to take the final step with Kazuya, to seal the deal. That was how desperate she was for him, even though he'd starved her for attention. Sadly for her, Kazuya had no plans for that yet. No matter how much he wanted that sexy pussy, he was going to wait until the right time. At some point, Kazuya flipped the two of them over and made Mami straddle his waist. His erection was almost touching her core for now. One of his hands was still at the side of her head so that even though she was at the top, he was the one maintaining the flow of the kiss. Then he pushed his tongue into the mix. With his free hand, he decided to take off the towel in its entirety. He loosened it and let his now free erection poke at Mami's wet pussy. He made her pull her face back slightly using his hand and pulled off her crop top over her head, throwing it to the side. Then he pulled her back into the kiss. He did the same with her denim miniskirt, opening the conveniently placed side zipper and throwing it away. Mami was left wearing her matching pink underwear that Kazuya didn't plan to leave for long. She was grinding on his cock. The only thing separating the two of them were her thin, flimsy panties. Kazuya started fondling her tits over her bra with his free hand. Soon he slid that hand to the back of her bra and unhooked it. Taking it off of Mami's arms, he threw it away. Mami was so occupied with the kiss that she didn't even realize that Kazuya had already taken off all her clothes, except for her panties. She only felt it when he pinched her bare nipples, giving her an unexpected dose of pain and pleasure. Soon, a few minutes into the makeout, as he fondled her body and she ground herself on his cock, Kazuya knew that her climax would be here soon. Her breathing was getting hurried and she was getting slightly impatient with the kiss, hungry for the pleasure that she would get with that. But Kazuya was planning to deny that for now, so he pulled her face back from his. Kazu-kun! Seeing him stop her, so close to the climax, Mami couldn't help but show an aggrieved expression. Shush! He put two of his fingers over her lips. Then he pushed them through her lips, making her suck on his fingers. Chapter 39, 2 for 1 2/3 *. Shush! He put two of his fingers over her lips. Then he pushed them through her lips, making her suck on his fingers. You're my good girl, right? He gave her a gentle expression. As if her vigor was renewed, she nodded happily while sucking in his fingers. You know what to do. Kazuya pulled himself back to lean against the headboard of the bed, and brought his cock in front of Mami's face, who was on all fours on the bed. She was getting into position to suck him off in front of him, but he stopped her. Like this, from my side. I want my hands to reach your sexy ass. He gestured to her that he wants her to suck him from his side so that he can access her holes with his fingers. Mami, like the obedient girl that she was when with him, obeyed him and crawled to his cock from his right side. Even though her breasts weren't huge, they were still enough to mesmerize Kazuya as they swayed around while she was crawling. Her face had an erotic expression as if she couldn't wait for him to tell her what to do next. He brought a hand over her head, guided her mouth to his cock, and said, "Suck." She eagerly obeyed his order, and enveloped his cock in her mouth. At least the part that she could. She was nowhere near experienced enough to be able to completely deep-throat his 9-inch cock for now. But Kazuya had all the time in the world to make sure she knew how to serve him well. She was sucking the part of his cock that she could and using her slender hand for the rest of it. One of Kazuya's hands was on the top of her head, guiding her mouth at slight angles and improving his experience. He brought his free hand to her but, still covered by her panties. Can't have these blocking us now, can we? Kazuya brought them down to her knees, which were bent on the bed. He then caressed her bare butt and squeezed one of her ass cheeks. He could already see a tiny wet patch forming on the bedsheet due to her dripping juices. He brought his hand lower and close to her pussy, not touching it but feeling around it. Mami moaned lightly, making muffled noises that made her throat vibrate, giving immense pleasure to Kazuya. That's it, Mami, keep going. He brought two of his fingers to her wet pussy and lightly rubbed her there. This was the first time that Kazuya was directly touching her pussy with his hands, and Mami was feeling ecstatic with just his touch as he teased her folds. Her moans were still muffled. When he felt that his fingers were sufficiently lubed up, he brought them to a different hole and lightly pushed his index finger into that hole. Mami's reaction was completely expected by him. She moaned at the sudden intrusion into her asshole and slightly panicked, trying to pull back her head from his cock. But Kazuya's hand didn't budge, keeping her mouth enveloped around his cock. Keep going, Mami. Don't worry about anything and just enjoy these feelings. Although Kazuya was taking advantage of her praise fetish, he kept it to a minimum, wanting to make sure that it stayed effective. As one of his fingers explored her puckered asshole, his thumb brought its attention back to her pussy, rubbing it gently. When he felt that her asshole was easily able to accept one of his fingers, he changed the angle of his hand, bringing his thumb to penetrate her ass while using his fingers on her pussy. Mami was constantly moaning at these unfamiliar sensations, but since they felt good, she focused on the cock in her mouth, trying to take it deeper. Kazuya felt immense pleasure from Mami's actions. He was getting close to his climax. After exploring her slit for a bit, Kazuya found her clit and lightly rubbed it with his fingers that had been lubed up by her juices. The moment he rubbed her clit, he also completely pushed his thumb within Mami's asshole. With the mixture of contrasting sensations that Mami was feeling, she climaxed and tried to scream due to the extreme pleasure, but the cock in her mouth blocked any chance of that. All she ended up doing was to convulse in her spot while giving Kazuya immense pleasure. Her actions also tipped Kazuya off the edge, so he started filling her mouth with his cum. Mami may be overwhelmed with the pleasure right now, but she was still conscious enough to lightly pump Kazuya's cock and drink his cum so that it doesn't fall on the bed. She does that job well, having done it a few times already. Finally, after they come down from their orgasm high, Kazuya doesn't say anything and pulls Mami's sweaty body into his arms before lying down on the bed. Mami was a little sad that he didn't praise her for not dropping any cum, but didn't mind since she knew that he wouldn't be praising her for every little thing. She leaned her head on his chest and calmed down while listening to his rhythmic heartbeat. He ran his hands through her silky hair and asked her absent-mindedly, "Why do you keep your hair short? I think you'd look good with long hair." She doesn't say anything for a bit. "I've sported this hairstyle ever since I was in middle school. One day, my dad brought me to get my hair cut short. I only remember some glimpses of that day. I remember his smile when he told me that I looked beautiful. So I just kept it that way ever since. I guess I never realized, but I preferred having short hair over time." Shit, talk about influencing a kid way too much. How much did you starve her for praise for her to keep the same hair since middle school just because you said she looked good? Let's not open up that can of worms for now. I see. Kazuya took a bit of a pause to let her know that he acknowledged her story before saying, "You could try to change it sometime. If you want, that is." She doesn't say anything. "What do you think about a threesome? Like with another girl?" That gets a reaction out of her. She turns her face up to look at him with lifeless eyes. "Kazu-kun." He smiles widely since this is the first time she's shown him her Yandere personality directly. It's like she has a split personality. So cool. It's like two girls in one. He might not be completely sane after all. Then again, he wanted to make a Yandere girl share him with other girls. That's insanity if nothing else. His reaction was unexpected for even the cold-looking girl, since every time she wears this expression, people avoid her like the plague. He flips them on the bed and brings her under him. With a loving look on his face, he lightly rubs her face with the back of his hand. "So beautiful." He kissed her forehead and said, "I've been waiting for you to show yourself to me." Her expression doesn't change and her eyes are still cold and lifeless, but Kazuya notices a tint of red on her cheek. Her lifeless eyes seemed like they were obsessed with him. With an equally obsessive look on his face as Mami, he looks into her eyes and says, "I'll make you mine too." That's when her eyes change back to normal. "Kazu-kun?" Mami is confused about her current position since she was just lying on top of him with his arms wrapped around him. Interesting. So the Yandere knows all and sees all, but the girly damsel doesn't know what the Yandere does. "You're amazing, Mami." He caressed the side of her face in the same way with a gentle look on his face this time. "W what?" She is confused by Kazuya's words. "Don't sweat it. For now though. Round 2? He looks into her eyes with a suggestive look. "Sure." She agrees pretty quickly since she wants to feel the same way again. "I've tried masturbating so many times in the last 3 months, but none of it even comes close to what I feel with him." "Great, for this one I'll take a position that'll help you take in more of my cock into your mouth. I want you to lie down on your back and let your head hang from the side of the bed." Mami followed his instructions and took her spot while Kazuya got off the bed and stood in front of Mami's face. He didn't know if it was by design of the bed or what, but his cock was right in front of her face, which made him glad since he would have had to bend his legs otherwise. Talk about a high bed. He lightly slapped her cheek with his cock. smearing the leftover cum and saliva on her face. Mommy, I want to use something that would help out with what I'm about to do. What is it, Kazuya-kun? Do you trust me, Mommy? Of course I do, Kazuya-kun. I trust you with everything. Damn girl, lay down on the drama. Whatever, at least she accepted. Now she won't be able to bite my cock. He opened his drawer on the nightstand and brought out a gag. A ring gag, to be precise. Made to keep her mouth open and ready for blowjobs. Open your mouth. She obeys and opens her mouth to let him put the ring gag into her mouth and tightens the strap at the back of her head. Take it in. He pointed his cock at her mouth and pushed it in. His balls were close to her nose, and she was able to smell them. He started going slow, wanting to let her get used to the new position. The gag was a very unfamiliar experience for her. She was used to being in control of her mouth whenever she gave him a blowjob. Now, though, she felt like she had lost another aspect of control over herself. Meanwhile, his hands were busy playing with her lovely tits. He loved Mommy's reaction whenever he flicked her nipples or pinched them, so he did it every once in a while. Time to bring out her inner Yandere. Chapter 40. 2 for 1, 3/3 *. Time to bring out her inner Yandere. Mommy, I want you to do something for me. She couldn't say anything, but the slight bobbing of her head made him assume that she responded affirmatively. I want you to imagine me kissing another girl right now. Huh? Unable to comprehend why he wants her to do that, she makes a confused noise. Just do it. Imagine that I'm using you to pleasure myself while making out with Chizuru. Pour those feelings into the blowjob. His words have a big effect, and the feeling of her mouth enveloping his cock changes and remains the same at the same time. It was the same mouth, but the feeling was different. There was a strange pressure surrounding his cock, making him feel immense pleasure. That's the Yandere I want to completely dominate. This is when he picked up the pace, completely pushing his cock into her throat, up to the base. His actions made Yandere Mommy choke and make muffled coughing noises, but he didn't heed them, and went at his own pace. She doesn't even have a gag reflex. She's the perfect stress reliever for me. She had been flailing her arms around, but he'd completely suppressed her, and kept going without stopping. He kept going deep into her throat, again and again, hitting his balls on her face while noticing the tiny bulge that formed in her throat due to his cock. This is amazing. When he noticed Mommy's hands had calmed down slightly as if resigned to her fate, he brought one of them to play with her breasts while the other went to her pussy, rubbing her clit and her folds. After that he penetrated her pussy slightly with his fingers while still playing with her clit, wanting to make sure that this second personality of hers came with him. Finally, the pleasure of the forceful deep throat was too much for Kazuya, and he started coming into her mouth, but not before Mommy's body started convulsing too. This time her orgasm wasn't light, it was hard. Hard enough that she squirted on his bed as he dropped his load down her throat. He pulled his cock out of her throat mid-orgasm and pumped it with his hand a few times to drop the rest of his cum on her face and tits, wanting to mark her as his. Now that's a look to admire. The next thing that he did was to take out the gag, and that's when he looked into her lifeless eyes, which seemed to be conveying some sort of emotion that he couldn't understand. Aggrieved, maybe? She didn't give him any moment to look at her anymore, and the lifeless eyes disappeared, replaced by the usual lively, cheerful eyes of the mommy that he knew. She seems to remember the experience this time. Does the other personality control what this one sees from her perspective or something? Kazuya could tell from Mommy's reaction that she'd also experienced that crazy orgasm from the rough mouth fucking that he gave her. He didn't want her to think that he didn't even care about her, so he decided to give her some much-needed aftercare. He went over to the side and picked her up in a princess carry. Wrap your arms around my neck, Mommy. She does that and starts complaining to him like a spoiled brat. Kazuya-kun was so mean, you even covered me in your fluids. My jaw hurts. She had her usual cute girly voice and a pout on her face. And you took it like a champ. I'm proud of you. He refrained from kissing her mouth and kissed her forehead instead, somewhere without his cum. I'll make sure to get her to brush her teeth later. She kept pouting but did seem to brighten up with his praise. I'll be rewarding you with my special aftercare routine. It even includes fixing the abysmally put dye in your hair for the highlights. Abysmal highlights? Kazuya-kun, my hair looks bad? She gets flustered and asks him. Not at all, but when I was running my fingers through your hair, I noticed that the colored parts of your hair are differently textured from the natural blonde. I'll fix that for you. You're so amazing, Kazuya-kun. I've looked for many things to fix that, but there wasn't any solution, so I just decided to live with it. Her praise has no other reason than to fill his vanity. Truthfully, the texture difference was very slight, so Mami didn't bother with it. For the rest of the night, Kazuya cleaned Mami up, took a shower with her while they both rubbed each other clean, and finally, he spent an hour working on her hair to fix the issues with her dye. He even gave her some tips and tricks to keep her hair silky and smooth. He'd already given them to Chizuru after she asked for his hair care routine. She noticed that his hair had gotten a drastic change in very little time. So, he figured that he might as well tell Mami too. Neither of them mentioned the other girlfriend thing that Kazuya had brought up. They had a sort of tacit understanding to not talk about those kinds of things since his relationship with Chizuru was still going on, at least to their college peers. "So, you sure that you don't have a problem with staying here for the night?" "Positive. I already told them that I'll be staying with a friend. So I don't have anywhere to go for now. If you make me leave, I'll have to sleep in the streets." She showed a pitiful expression. "That's a big fat lie. She's going to try to plant something in my house, I know it. Well, two can play at that game. Or I could just throw her to the streets. She who cometh from the streets shall returneth to the streets." He chuckled inwardly. After they were done with Mami's hair stuff, Kazuya brought her into a different room than the one they'd used. Both of them were wearing only towels around them, so Mami wasn't going to have anything on her person. He'd chosen this room since it had a numeric lock on the door handle. After entering the room, he locked it, and made sure that Mami couldn't leave the room while he was sleeping. There was an attached bathroom, so there wasn't going to be any issue with that either. Taking off his towel, he pulled off Mami's towel too. "Kai Kazu-kun." She gave him a reproachful look. He rolled his eyes. "Like I haven't seen everything already." Dropping both towels on the floor, he got into bed, covering both his and Mami's naked frames with the blanket, and spooning her. One of his arms was acting as her pillow, and his other hand was holding her soft tit. One of his legs was also intertwined around her legs. The entire time Mami didn't have the chance to access the clothes that she'd worn or her handbag, so Kazuya was sure that she wouldn't have anything to plant in his place. He kept every aspect of the situation under his control and made sure to keep her on a tight leash. Mami felt the warmth enveloping her and the slight semi-erect cock poking her butt and couldn't help but think, what the fuck? Do I not have free will or something? Why do I just listen to whatever he says and follow him? Even she was confused as to why she was so subservient to his words and actions. It was never like this with the person that she was thinking about is a mystery, but they don't occupy her thoughts for long. I don't understand what's going on anymore. She was also tired after so many intense things happening at the same time and decided to close her eyes for a while before she would enact her plan. Kazuya had made sure that all of her things were left in different places in the house, and she'd have to scour through the house to find her stuff. The next morning, Mami was feeling depressed. In the middle of the night, after Kazuya had turned to the side, letting her free from his clutches, she tried to go out to set up the monitoring devices, but she wasn't even able to open the door of the bedroom to go out. What an asshole. He even locked the room. Although aggrieved, Mami didn't spend too much thought on her problem. She'd already gotten used to Kazuya beating her at her own game. She obediently went back into bed and slept half on top of Kazuya as some sort of petty revenge. One of her arms was wrapped around his torso and her leg was also wrapped around his leg. She put her head to his chest and went to sleep, feeling and hearing his heartbeat, which seemed to soothe her like a lullaby that sent her straight to sleep. When Kazuya woke up, he felt a weight on half of his body and was confused for a few moments. What the fuck? Oh yeah, Mami. He realized that it was Mami who was sleeping on half of his body. Thankfully, I didn't leave anything that she could have used to kill me in this room. Who knows what she would have done after realizing that I essentially trapped her in this room. Mami never had such a thought. With him having woken up, Mami also stirred awake. Morning, Kazu-kun." She stretched like a little kitten in his arms. A harem of cat girls. The thought disappeared as fast as it came to his mind. After they woke up, Kazuya gave Mami all of her stuff from the previous night along with her bag so that she could change up. She didn't stay for breakfast since she had to get home early. When she left, Kazuya ate his breakfast and went to the gym a few hours later. He spent some time monitoring the progress of his AI application and made sure that there weren't any errors. Chapter 41. Acting Practice. After he was done with his AI assistant, he remembered that he'd scheduled a date with Chizuru today. It's Saturday, I'd forgotten. Fucking rental bullshit, couldn't I have just given her the money to support her acting classes and taught her in her free time? He knew that she wouldn't accept his help directly, so he didn't bother thinking about it any further. He made plans on what he was going to do with her and put the date plan into the app to let her know about it. He didn't plan to make this date too complicated for her. He'd be helping her smoothen out the intricacies of her perfect girlfriend role for the first date. The next 8 dates would be focusing on different kinds of characters that she might find herself playing. They will be vastly different each time so she can get practice with all kinds of different character roles. I'm not doing this since I want to see her in different kinds of outfits. I just want to help her. Kazuya is in denial. When he's finally ready, he leaves his apartment and goes to meet Chizuru. First off, can I say something? What is it? Kazuya was a little distracted by the bobbing lock of hair that was defying gravity at the side of her head. I love that hairstyle. The best part is that she only wears it when she goes out with me. Kazuya has noticed her leaving for her rental dates quite a few times, and she's never sported that hairstyle. I think that renting me every week is too much. Of course, the more personally designed dates that I have, the better. Don't get me wrong, I appreciate your financial support, but dash. Her completely impassive, businesslike talk is interrupted by Kazuya flicking her head. Ow. What the hell? She lightly rubbed the place where he hit her. 1. What the hell you? You're acting like we aren't even friends, it's annoying. 2. These dates are going to be getting as personalized as possible. I won't just be getting you to open up, I'm going to be putting you through scenarios that would leave you dumbstruck and confused about how you're supposed to act. I'm going to tell you your flaws and help you fix them. Why are you acting as some sort of drama guru? I can understand your capabilities in business and computer science, but drama? That's completely unrelated to your characterization. That leaves Kazuya speechless since he didn't think about what he'd do about the source of his newfound knowledge if she asked. I'm a trained spy. I know how to act. Truly act. I know more about acting than film school could ever teach someone. Kazuya nods at himself since he's proud of his impromptu answer. Then he felt a little sting on his forehead and realized that Chizuru had flicked his forehead as a sort of revenge. Well, that's not what a perfect girlfriend would do to you, he says with a completely serious face. She stared at him with an intense look. What? Fine, I'm a jack of all trades. Or at least quite a few trades. I've delved into quite a bit of different fields. She sighed. Forget it, don't tell me. How do you want this to go? It's not exactly easy to suddenly think of you as my client now. It's weird and awkward. I know. It's the same for me. But it's better that way. For now, though, let us start the date. Act as if this is the first time that we're meeting. What dash? Hi. Are you Mizuhara-san? Doing a complete character change, Kazuya greeted Chizuru as if he was meeting her for the first time. Her hours of acting as a rental allow her to adapt to the change quickly enough. Kazuya-kun? Chizuru, the perfect girlfriend, Mizuhara answered. Their first date of the 8 was a typical date that Chizuru usually went to. Just like Chizuru usually acted as the perfect girlfriend, Kazuya also acted as the perfect boyfriend for her. This in itself created a challenge for Chizuru. This was because she was used to controlling the flow of the dates with almost all of her clients. Even with some of the more outgoing people, she was sure of what to expect and was able to think ahead on what to do. This time, though, she was dealing with her perfect counterpart. There were times that her heart skipped a beat due to his tiny actions. Kazuya wasn't just acting, he was pulling his A game. Completely courting the beautiful girl that he was out on a date with. This gave her perspective on how she could improve herself, too, since Kazuya kept dropping certain hints about her minute mistakes and problems. It didn't help her maiden heart that a lot of times while dropping those hints, he ended up describing his perfect partner as exactly her. Holy fuck, is this what people usually feel when I'm with them? No wonder I get 5 stars all the time. She got some perspective on how she makes people feel. Though I'm also curious. How much does Kazuya know about drama? It's like he's been to film school. I would understand if he knew how to act well, but the technical terms and the specificities of the trade that he's offhandedly mentioning. That's stuff people learn in film school. Although Chizuru thought a lot of things during the date, her persona never came off. Although there were times when it was very close, she was still able to handle Kazuya's advances, even though her heart was bursting on the inside. This is attributed to how good of an actress she was when she tried hard. When they both finally said their farewells and parted ways, Chizuru said something that caused Kazuya to stop in his tracks. Alright. It's 1 minute past the time of the date. I'm off the clock. Just as Kazuya turned to look at her, she abruptly started running in his direction. Did I break her? Kazuya absent-mindedly thought, since this was impossible for Chizuru to do in public. Nonetheless, he opened his arms, welcoming her for the hug that he was expecting her to give him. His hug did come, but it brought something else with it. Chizuru ended up punching him in the gut, albeit relatively lightly, before she hugged him. Oof! He acted as if her punch made him lose his air. Although it was a surprise, he didn't feel it that much. Stop overreacting. I didn't even hit you hard. That was for playing dirty. And this is for constantly correcting my acting. She jabbed him in the side while rubbing her face in his chest. The fuck is this contrast? When did I even play dirty? What do you want from me, woman? Hey! He held both of her arms and said, I'm calling the domestic abuse helpline. Whatever. She brought her arms out of his light grip and hugged him correctly. Do you have some time right now? Is she trying to hide her face right now or something? How effective was this date? I could make some time. You don't want to let me go? He asked in a teasing manner. You can go if you want. I'm no one to stop you. All of a sudden her attitude turned around, and she let him go before starting to walk away. What the hell? How do you turn so ice cold in a second? Before she could take more than one step, Kazuya grabbed her arm and pulled her back. You need to be a little patient, you know? Her expression morphed into a fun, playful smile that moment, and she said, Got you! That's for hiding that you were such a good actor. You little... Kazuya trailed off and narrowed his eyes at her. Okay. I'm sorry for messing with you. She apologized to him with a smile. She didn't mean it. Don't you worry, I'll be taking revenge for all the little abuse that you randomly hurl at me every once in a while. I mean, calling it abuse is a bit of a stretch, no? It's at best playful banter. When she realized that he was serious, she looked down and fidgeted a little. Nope. You're the one who dug the grave, not me. He smirked. Please, I'm sorry. No. When she realized that he wasn't planning on budging, she decided to change the topic. Fine then. Do whatever kinky bullshit you want. There's a place I want to go. Come with me? Kinky bullshit? Does she expect me to? I guess she took that naughty student roleplay that day a bit too seriously. Where? The batting cages. Really? That's interesting. I didn't think that many girls go to batting cages. I don't get to go a lot since it's not the best place to go alone. I usually find the time to do it when there aren't many people around. It's kinda like my peaceful time. I'm flattered that you'd include me in your peaceful time. Nonsense, the time I spend with you is also my peaceful time. She gave him a flirty smirk. That's a new reaction. Chapter 43, Meeting her grandma, February 2nd. He grabbed her hand with both his hands. You don't have to worry, Grandma. I know my priorities. I don't plan to neglect my personal life for my goals. I promise. That's good. I think that you'd be the perfect person for little Chizuru. She is very bad at accepting her weaknesses. She hides them behind an extremely strong suit of armor that is her strong persona. On the inside, she's still that clingy little girl. One could say that she's already an accomplished actress, living her entire life as an actress. But she can't keep up this act forever. One day she'll break, and she'll need someone to whom she can show her true self. That's why I need to ask you something. She brought her other hand above his hands. Anything, Grandma. I ask you, please. She bowed her head to him in her request, making Kazuya uncomfortable, but he didn't have it in him to stop her. Please, take care of our Chizuru. He could feel her hands shaking. It must feel sucky for her to be Chizuru's last family, and be unable to help her in her time of need. I guess that. I shouldn't lie to her if she's being that earnest with me. Grandma, I'm not sure if I love Chizuru, but I know that she had immense importance to me. If something ever happened to her, I don't know what I'd do. I've gotten so used to seeing her every single day that if I don't see her, I find myself calling her up to see where she is. We have this thing we do every week where I go over to her place, and we cook together and eat. I know. She told me that it's something that she has a lot of fun with. She smiled. I promise you that I'll take care of her. No matter what happens. She is very dear to me, and I'd be disgusted by myself if I let her get hurt. Those words are enough for me, Kazuya. Now I can go in peace. I know that my granddaughter is in good hands. W what? Grandma? Is she acting? Kazuya thought. Hee, I'm just kidding. I still have some life in these old bones of mine. Don't make that kind of joke, Grandma. Chizuru might have me, but she still needs her grandma. More than you might think. Kazuya smiled at her antics. I understand, Kazuya-kun. Now bugger off. She's probably waiting for you to come out. Don't keep her waiting. Also, stop avoiding your grandmother. I know that you're mad at her for scheming that thing in the hot springs, but it's been months. She's missing you. Bring Chizuru to meet her if possible. I'll think about it, Grandma. Good night. With that, Kazuya left the ward. Kazuya didn't know, but someone was listening to the conversation. When he was about to leave the room, she ran away. You were with her for a long time. What were you talking about? Nothing in particular. She just handed your legal guardian rights to me. You're technically in my care now. Haha, very funny. She rolled her eyes at him. They walk home together and separate with the usual bye. Kazuya walked into his apartment. It's been a while since I've played any games. The training for the algorithm is still going to last for like 4 more days. Kazuya turned on his console and was only playing for a few minutes before his doorbell rang. This late? Is this supposed to be a booty call? Kazuya opened his door and saw Chizuru still in the same outfit. Changed your mind about spending the night with me? You wish. Is she hesitating about something? What is it? Spill. I lost my keys. She looked away, embarrassed. Wait. This was what she came to my door for back when we just met. She was just too embarrassed to tell me back then. Talk about repeated offender. Come on in. Kazuya invited her in first thing. Thanks. She directly walked to his balcony door. I'm pretty sure that your balcony door is locked. How do you know that? As if she was a cat that got stepped on its tail, Chizuru looked at him with a hiss and narrowed cat eyes. I didn't try to break into your apartment. You were the one that told me. Kazuya rolled his eyes at her. Oh, okay. But I still want to check, it wouldn't hurt. If you say so. Do you want me to cross the fence? It's fine, I got it. I can't miss such an amazing opportunity to ogle at her ass. Kazuya followed her out. She was trying to climb over through the side of the fence. Damn, her ass is at the perfect angle to do so many things. Kazuya is lost in his perverted fantasies. Suddenly, her foot slipped and she was about to fall down the balcony. All right, no more playing independent lady for you. Kazuya was already there and grabbed her waist, pulling her back. When he pulled her back and admonished her like a naughty child, her face flushed in embarrassment, and she looked down. After pulling her back, Kazuya went over the fence himself. Give me your hand. Kazuya extended his hand toward her to pull her to him. If you're going to that side, then you might as well check the lock yourself. Why do you need me? Fair point. He checked the door. It's still locked. Fine, just come back. I'll call the landlord. He jumped back over and looked at Chizuru. You know. This is the first time that you're in my apartment. That's not true. I came to your other apartment that day when we ate chicken wings. I meant this apartment. The one right beside yours. I guess that's true. Come on in, make yourself at home, I'm going to go back to my games. He walked into his apartment, and sat back down on his newly bought couch in front of the TV. Chizuru was still on the balcony, making the call, while Kazuya started the next round. When she came back and he was still focused on the game. The landlord isn't picking up. I need to find a locksmith. Kazuya didn't say anything since he was in the middle of a competitive match and was focusing on that. Chizuru sat down beside him because she wanted to rest for some time before leaving. You could stay at my place. I doubt you'd find any locksmith at this time. It's almost 11. You'd probably end up staying in a hotel for the night. Kazuya finally turned to look at a tired-looking Chizuru that was melted on his couch. Plus, you don't seem like you have that much energy in you. It's been a long and tiring day. I had 2 dates before I met you, so my schedule for the day was jam-packed. Come here. Kazuya grabbed both of Chizuru's arms and pulled her toward him while putting his legs on the couch. He sat her between his legs and hugged her stomach with the controller still in his hand. What are you doing? Getting the both of us comfortable. Now put your head on my chest and close your eyes. Kazuya put his hand on her forehead and pulled her into his chest before running his fingers through her hair, giving her a light massage. Why are you doing this? Chizuru succumbed to the comfort and leaned back completely on him, turning her face to the side and looking at the TV. "'Cause your grandma told me that you're a clingy crybaby and dash." "She did what?" She got agitated and tried to pull herself off of him. "Stay right here." He pulled her back since his arm was still around her stomach. "Yeah, she told me. Not like I needed to know in the first place." "You dash." Yeah, whatever. Let me play my game." Kazuya turned his attention back to his game and started another round, this time a non-competitive one, and muted the sound. Meanwhile, Chizuru was confused. What the hell? Forget it, it's not like this is the first time. His arms are pretty comfortable. She decided to stop being so stuck up and made herself comfortable in his arms. "Stop wiggling, woman." Kazuya complained internally and kept playing his game. They stayed like that for about half an hour by the time Kazuya finished 3 rounds. It was a holiday the next day, so he wasn't planning to sleep too soon. Chizuru was pretty comfortably settled in his embrace. He messed around with her every once in a while when the controller vibrated and put it over her stomach. Her cute giggles with pleas to stop were enchanting and soothing for his tired soul. "Kazuya?" she called out in a small voice. I'm listening. Do you mind if I spent the night here?" Chapter 44, Together, 1/3, *. "Do you mind if I spent the night here?" "Sure. You can just stay in my arms like this." He tightened his hold on her. She didn't speak anything for a while. Kazuya hadn't turned on any lights, so most of the light in the room was from the TV and the moonlight that shined through the partially drawn curtains. Chizuru was looking at the moon, lost in her thoughts. "I miss my grandpa. I miss all of them." Her voice is as tiny as it could get. "Who else are you talking about?" He wanted to know more about her. He'd thought a lot of things about her and had some ideas, but he wanted to hear them from her mouth. "I guess I should start from the beginning." Kazuya tightened his arms that were around her stomach ever so slightly in an attempt to comfort her and convey his support for her. "When I was little, around 4, my dad left us. So my mom and I went to live with my grandparents. It wasn't too long before my mom passed too. She wasn't able to handle that grief, for lack of a better word." He'd put aside his controller and brought her in even closer. Her arms were on his arms, conveying that she was fine. "I was essentially raised by my grandparents. But by the time I entered high school, my grandpa also passed away. When I say my family, I only mean my grandma. Because she's all the family that I have left. Back when my grandpa was alive, I'd made a promise to him. I promised him that one day I'd be a real actress, that I'd let him see me on the big screen. I wasn't able to fulfill that promise. So I decided that I want my granny to see me on the big screen. That's what my dream is. Do you think that's cringy? On the contrary, it's admirable. Looking at you, it amazes me. You're working so hard for your dreams. And I promise you that your dreams will come true. You just have to believe in yourself. If you fail, I'll always be there to pick you up and get you back on track. I'll be by your side as you accomplish your dreams. I'll be there for you. I promise your grandma, after all. And what if there comes a day that I lose my dream? What would you do then?" "Then, I'd spank some sense into you and try to get you to follow your dream. Failing that, I'll keep you in my home as my trophy wife whom I'll love very much." Chizuru pinched his thigh. "Hey!" He held her hand and decided on some revenge. He flipped his position on the couch such that Chizuru was below him, and he was looking at her eyes. "Didn't I tell you to stop physically abusing me all the time? If you stop teasing me, I might stop." Chizuru was headstrong. "Yeah?" He smiled with a sadistic light in his eyes and kissed her forcefully. He didn't give her much time to adjust and pushed his tongue into her mouth, exploring it wantonly. His hands weren't free and were busy bringing out her top from the waistband of her skirt. Chizuru was too occupied in the impromptu kiss to notice his actions. He pulled it up, leaving her stomach bare, and tested out how tickling works with her by tickling the sides of her waist. The results were immediate and very effective as she tried to pull her face away from him and started struggling. But Kazuya did not budge. Let's see how she reacts after this. He kept tickling her and pulled his face slightly back from hers since he didn't want her to bite his tongue unconsciously. He knew she wouldn't do it consciously, the tickling might cause that to happen. "Haha, please stop, let me go." She tried to struggle more but to no avail. He didn't reply and gave her an infuriating smirk. He brought his face into the crook of her neck and started sucking, planning to give her a hickey. No, haha, stop. He doesn't stop for at least a few minutes and keeps sucking on her neck. But he does stop tickling her in a while since she needed to breathe. He was still holding on to her bare stomach as he sucked on her neck. When he finally pulled back, he saw a bright red mark in the area between her collarbone and neck. Now that's my kind of makeup. She was glaring at him aggrievedly like a bullied wife. How am I supposed to hide that? Why hide it? Tell the world that you're mine. He slid his hands higher over her waist and closer to her chest. God, she's so alluring. If she doesn't stop me today, I'll do so much more with her. He knew that she noticed his ascending hands but didn't react, giving him silent consent. His passionate gaze made her embarrassed, so she turned her head away to the side. Well, if you're presenting your neck to me like this. He moves to the other side of her neck and starts sucking there. Stop it! She feigns a very weak resistance. Meanwhile, Kazuya's hands have reached her bra and he reaches to her back to unhook it. After he unhooks it, he pulls her top and bra above her breasts, completely letting them free to look at. He was focusing on her neck and started playing with her amazing tits. Ah, a moan escaped from her mouth. A few minutes later, Chizuru had another one of Kazuya's marks, and he pulled back from her neck to look into her eyes. You can think of me every time you look at those hickeys. He smirked and sat up, straddling her thighs. Put your hands up. He was taking full initiative because he knew that she wasn't going to do any such thing with her usual tsundere attitude. He pulled her top and bra over her head and threw them to the side. He admired her devilishly sexy body for a few seconds, lightly running his right index finger over her skin, giving her the feeling of goosebumps rising. He took off his t-shirt and threw it to the side to match Chizuru's half-naked look. The moment he dropped it to the side, his lips were back on top of Chizuru's. He was rough, passionate, and forceful with the kiss. She could only accept his advances while trying to get into some sort of rhythm. Her arms were crossed around his back, hugging him tightly. He also pulled her close to him, hugging her tightly. He could feel her erect nipples due to the arousal rubbing against his chest along with two big and soft tits. He brought one of his hands from her back to her skirt. Pulling up her skirt, he tucked it into the waistband, leaving her lower body exposed except for her panties that matched her bra and her white knee-length socks. There wasn't the slightest resistance from Chizuru to his actions, so he kept going but slowed down a bit. He brought both his hands to her tits of perfection and played with them to his heart's content. He'd pinch and squeeze her tits, he'd flick her nipples, pinch them. He enjoyed her little reactions in his mouth. When she moaned at his touch, it made him feel amazing. Minutes later, he freed one hand and opened his jeans, pulling them down a little, so that he could free the little monster that wanted to play. The moment he pulled down his jeans, Chizuru felt something poking her wet entrance. She panicked a little and tried to push him weakly. Not wanting to take things too forcefully, Kazuya relented and pulled back from her face. I don't think this a good idea. Nonsense, this has been a long time coming. We've essentially been in an ambiguous relationship for months now. This is far from taking it fast. But dash. No buts. I'll be with you for a long-ass time. You can eat out my ear then, for now though. Kazuya got off of Chizuru and completely took off his jeans and boxers, leaving himself naked. Chizuru's attention was captured by his huge cock. He didn't waste too much time and pulled down Chizuru's panties, revealing her shaved pussy that seemed to glisten with her juices. She was wearing nothing but the knee-length socks that Kazuya left there since they looked nice. I doubted it when I saw her matching underwear, but this confirms it. She was already prepared for something like this. Looking at her inviting pussy, he decided to bring the foreplay to its peak before actually fucking her. He dived into her pussy with his hands around her thighs, opening them so that he could bring his face closer. The moment he started licking, Chizuru's moans filled the apartment. Oh Kazuya, that's it please ah. Kissing mastery wasn't something that only applied to making out. It had a lot of different applications, including eating someone out. Kazuya was essentially a master of this art. Chapter 45, Together 2/3. Kissing mastery wasn't something that only applied to making out. It had a lot of different applications, including eating someone out. Kazuya was essentially a master of this art. He had an intuition of when she was closest to her climax, and stopped right there. Oh come on huh? Seeing as he pulled back from her, she tried to finish the job herself using her hands since she was that horny. That's what the good kind of foreplay does to a girl. He held onto both her wrists, and brought her hands above her head, leaning over her. His knees were between her legs and he pushed them apart, exposing her pussy. Kazuya. She whined at his actions, but he just gave her a loving kiss on her lips. "You're mine from today," he declares to her and brings one of his hands down to his cock. The other was still occupied holding her hands above her head. He aims his cock at her almost gushing wet pussy and slowly starts sliding in. He prepared her enough with the foreplay so it wasn't too difficult for him to enter her. It wasn't a moan of pleasure. Chizuru felt pain at being invaded by such a huge member. "Shush, it'll be fine. You'll be feeling better in no time." He kissed her lips lightly as he kept pushing into her pussy. It was a heavenly feeling for Kazuya. The way her pussy was putting pressure all around his cock was amazing for him. He went through countless thoughts about her while pushing in, and finally realized what he had been feeling for her for so long. And why he was putting up with her for so long. "I do love her. Fuck." He felt himself touch a barrier, and knew that the next part was going to be painful. "Chizuru babe. I love you. I mean it. I love you so much." He earnestly looked into her pained eyes. "I love you too." The moment she said that, Kazuya pushed into her further, ripping her hymen, causing her to shriek and bite into his shoulder. "Fuck." Kazuya felt his shoulder sting. He hoped that she didn't draw blood. He pulled back and started pistoning into her slowly. He knew that a third of his cock was still outside. He hadn't pushed into her completely yet, since he was going to do that after her first orgasm. He brought one of his hands to her pussy, to look for and stimulate her clit, and the other to her tits, to play with her sensitive nipples. More than a minute later she finally let go of his shoulder and started moaning in pleasure due to the triple stimulations that she was getting in her pussy, clit, and tits. A minute later she screamed, "Kazuya, I'm coming!" She grabbed onto his back tightly, scratching him while her mouth went back to his shoulder and bit him. Not even feeling her bite, Kazuya felt her pussy tighten around his cock, making him feel immensely pleasurable, but it would take more time before he came. He'd only just started after all. As she came, he kept going, prolonging her orgasm while amplifying his pleasure. Her first orgasm for the night lasted almost a minute before she finally pulled back from Kazuya's abused shoulder and calmed down a little. Kazuya meanwhile didn't plan on stopping anytime soon. He was planning to fill her up and mark her as his no matter what. When she pulled back, she looked into his eyes and said, "Can we take a little break?" "Of course not." Kazuya's words took the hope right out of Chizuru, as before she could say anything to persuade him, he pushed the full length of his cock into her pussy. He felt her body strain and heard her scream as he'd abruptly gone even deeper after her first orgasm. "What the hell?" she asked him while still moaning due to the immense pleasure. "Prepare yourself, babe. This is going to last a while." He smirked and decided to take his revenge for the bite mark on his shoulder. He brought his mouth to her tits and started sucking her there, not wanting to leave his favorite girl's milk makers free from hickeys. Chizuru couldn't do much else other than grab his head with her hands and run her fingers through his hair. He kept stimulating her clit while doing all this, and soon Chizuru came for a second time. "I'm coming, Kazuya." Her face was the perfect depiction of being overwhelmed with pleasure. Sadly for her, Kazuya was still not done. It took him around 20 more minutes to feel like he was close, and this time he'd already filled her tits and her collarbone with multiple hickeys. At that point, Chizuru was a blubbering mess under him and close to her fourth orgasm. He decided to make it count, and brought her nipple into his mouth, nibbling it and flicking it with his tongue. Meanwhile, he gave a flick to her clit at the perfect spot that made her instantly come. "Aw fuck!" The mixture of pain and pleasure brought her to her fourth orgasm, and Kazuya finally couldn't hold back anymore, emptying his load inside her. Chizuru felt the warm semen fill her up and couldn't help but purr like a content kitten that had just gotten its milk. In a way, this was true. When they both came down from their orgasm high, Kazuya flipped himself around and hugged Chizuru to his chest. His cock was still nestled in Chizuru's pussy, or its new favorite home. "This is the fucking cock that I'm proud of. Making my girl come 4 times before I finished must be some kind of record. And this Iron Lady Chizuru no less." Kazuya was immensely proud of his achievement. He slowly ran his fingers through her hair. He could feel her steady breathing on his chest and knew that she was too tired for the day, and the intense sex completely put her out of commission. "Can't sleep with my cock inside her. It would be a pain to deal with tomorrow." Kazuya reluctantly decided to get up from the couch and bring Chizuru to his bed and sleep with her there. He tried his best to slide her off of him, but her grip was too tight. I guess that's what her grandma meant by clingy. Talk about foreshadowing. Somehow he got off the couch, brought some towels, and wiped himself and Chizuru a bit before picking her up and putting her on the bed gently. He left the towel that had her blood on the side. He then got into bed with her and spooned her while covering both of them with a blanket. He turned off the lights and brought one of his arms under her head while intertwining his legs with hers. His semi-erect cock was nestled between her ass cheeks. His other hand went under her arm and grabbed onto her soft and supple boob before Kazuya finally went to sleep. This is the fucking life, he thought absent-mindedly before falling asleep. The next morning, Chizuru woke up wrapped in Kazuya's arms and felt surreal. What have I done? She wanted to hide in a hole. The next moment she felt a hand on her chest lightly squeezing her boob. They're not fucking stress balls, you asshole, she complained before feeling something big poking her where she felt extremely weird. Her back door. That's... She wiggled her legs a little and got the cock that was pocking her asshole to move between her thighs, poking her pussy. Fuck, he came inside. I need to take the morning after pill. I also need to get up. In a while though, it's so comfortable in his arms. She had all kinds of thoughts going through her head. This was a mistake. I can't lose him too. Just as her thoughts take a slightly darker turn, she feels the support below her head disappear and the hand on her tit move away. The next thing she knows, there's a hand squeezing her other boob and another hand is running a finger through her slit, occasionally brushing over her clit. Ah, Kazuya! All those thoughts disappear from her head as she moans at Kazuya's inadvertent actions. I could get used to waking up like this with you, he whispers in her ear, making her shiver. Kazu-dash. She was about to say something, but Kazuya wasn't in the mood to listen to her. He only wanted to hear her moans right now. After all, he had a raging morning wood to calm down. He shoved two of his fingers that were running through her slit into her mouth. Suck them, babe. Chizuru instinctively listens to his words and starts sucking on his fingers, coating them in her saliva. He just made me taste my pussy juice. She was too late in this realization. He'd already pulled his fingers out of her mouth and back into her pussy, getting it wet and ready. A few minutes later, he flipped her over and made her face him. Looking into her eyes, he said, "Morning, babe." And morning. She is already hot and bothered due to him toying with her body like that. Kazuya also felt like his erection was getting painful, so he held on to Chizuru's waist and pulled her over him, making her straddle his legs, aiming his cock directly at her pussy. The moment he let her go, she fell on his cock without realizing the situation, taking the whole thing into her pussy in one go. Ah fuck! She almost fell on his chest but balanced herself by putting both her hands on his chest. Let's see that booty jumping, my love. He teased her a bit before putting his hands back on her waist, guiding her a bit. She listened to him and started jumping on his cock. The presence of his hands on her waist allowed her to go up the perfect height to not lose his cock from her pussy. He leaned up a bit and took her nipple into his mouth, nibbling and licking it. When she had a bit of an idea of working the cowgirl position, Kazuya brought one of his hands from her waist to her other free boob. He was playing with both of her boobs while she was jumping on his cock. All unnecessary thoughts were completely out of her head. They kept going for a while and Chizuru climaxed once and fell weakly onto Kazuya's chest. You need practice, Chizuru. You can't just fall weakly after a single orgasm. I've decided I'll be helping you to practice and better your weaknesses every night from now on. Kazuya acted as if he was doing God's work and had a righteous expression on his face. Chizuru could only glare at him speechlessly. For now though, I'll take over. He flipped both of them around and took the missionary position. That's when he started ramming his cock into her pussy with reckless abandon. Ah, slower please. She could only beg him for mercy that he wasn't planning to show. He kept going at the same pace and made her orgasm for a second time. He felt that he wouldn't last until her third orgasm, so he started playing dirty and started stimulating her erogenous zones like her clit and nipples. Within minutes she was on her third orgasm. As her pussy tightened up around his cock, he finally came into her again and filled her with his baby maker fluid. Ha ha! Ha ha! Their heavy breathings are mirrored as they recover themselves, especially Chizuru. I could get used to waking up like this. Kazuya repeats his previous words to her. Chapter 46, Together, 3/3. I could get used to waking up like this. Kazuya repeats his previous words to her. I agree. Chizuru ended up thoughtlessly agreeing and turned crimson in embarrassment. You're such a cutie. I love you. Kazuya rubbed his cheek on her cheek. What are you? Some animal? I could show you an animal. Kazuya gets a feral smile on his face that terrifies Chizuru. No. Please, I'm tired. Can we just take a shower? I'll fulfill your insatiable thirst tonight. She is terrified of another round right now since she's already sore and doesn't have it in her to endure another round of that bliss. She could only try to compromise. As my lady wishes. He gets up on the bed with Chizuru in his arms. I can take a bath myself. Nonsense. I have to pamper you after I was so rough. I cannot, in good conscience, leave you alone for today. Kazuya brought her to the showers where Chizuru thought he'd fuck her again, but surprisingly he was slightly civil and only spent the time fondling her body and cleaning her thoroughly. He even made her have a soft orgasm to get her to loosen up. By the time he dried her up and wrapped her in a towel, she was practically melted into a puddle due to the comfort that she was feeling. Kazuya handed her one of his shirts that he thought she'd look sexy wearing. She indeed looked very sexy, wearing nothing but Kazuya's shirt, which was slightly oversized for her, hiding just enough to leave someone wanting more. He brought her to his bed and tucked her in. He'd already changed the sheets since he wasn't going to make her rest in their spilled fluids. Any special request for breakfast? I'll make it for you. Anything? Anything. Within what groceries I have at the house, of course. You remember 2 weeks ago when we made that dash? You really want to make me work, don't you? It's the least that you can do. I guess I was the one who said you could have anything. Kazuya spent the rest of the day taking care of his new lover. After another round of mind-blowing sex where Kazuya completely dominated Chizuru, he decided to stop Chizuru from running away from the adult talk and finally defined their relationship. He was on top of her while she was heavily breathing. We need to have a real talk. She tried to wiggle away from him. No. Her whiny voice was very cute, but Kazuya was determined and had a serious talk with him. They agreed that they were in a real relationship and would be staying together for a good long time. She seemed excited at the prospect of having her first real relationship that wasn't with her family. At this point, the lie that they'd been telling everyone in college was going to stop being a lie and was going to become the truth, and Kazuya was very happy about it. He decided to celebrate their newly agreed upon relationship with another round of hard sex. Chizuru finally went back to her home after dinner. She could have gone earlier, but after finally losing his virginity, Kazuya was sort of an insatiable beast and kept Chizuru with him for the whole day, fucking her at every chance he got. Their day was spent doing nothing but eating and fucking like animals, which was a unique experience for both of them. Although, it was mostly Kazuya who was doing the fucking since Chizuru was a blubbering mess under his cock most of the time, making him unbelievably proud of himself. Kazuya gave her a spare key to both of his apartments, just in case, and she did the same, though she did glare at him with her cat-like look when he suggested it. The kitty roleplay isn't too far, babe. I'll wait for you to get comfortable with our relationship for a while before I spring that up and make you act like a spoiled kitty. On Monday, Kazuya and Chizuru walked to college together for the first time, finally acting like a real couple. Kazuya! Chizuru screamed in panic when they were walking in front of a pharmacy that day. Whoa! What? Why so loud? I forgot to take the pill. She whispers in panic. What pill? I didn't ask you to eat any pill though. The morning after pill, you dumbass. You came inside so many times that even if I wasn't ovulating, the damn egg would appear itself. Haha. I love you. Kazuya didn't care for public decency and hugged his girlfriend, kissing her face all over just because of that bad joke. This is... serious, she said between the kisses that he was peppering on her face. Don't worry about it. I've already been on a pill since you got your play. You don't have to worry about a thing. He lightly rubbed her hair, which was tied in 2 braids since she was in her nerdy look, although her clothes weren't as unassuming as usual. Why though? She is curious about his reasons. I have been expecting something like this to happen between us sooner or later. He smirked at her. Kazuya wasn't actually on any medication. The reason he told her that was because of something that he saw last night. Flashback start. Let's check out my system. I should have completed that get a real girlfriend quest finally. Quests. Main quest, entrepreneur. Side quest, she belongs on the streets. Side quest, no heartbeat. Side quest, shy roseate. Daily quest, shape up. Daily quest, learn to defend. Completed quests. Completed quests. Hidden quest, the lion, the witch, and the audacity of this bitch, completed. Hidden quest, fix the hair, completed. Side quest, income source, completed. Side quest, get that girl, completed. Side quest, no lonely bitches here, completed. Hidden quest, a real man, completed. Special quest, sunder a conqueror, completed. 3 quests? Interesting. Let's see. Side quest, no lonely bitches here, completed. You don't want to spend another chance to live your life alone again, do you? Find a real partner to go through thick and thin with you. Objective, get a real girlfriend. Reward happiness, do you need anything else? Mind +5. Well, this brings up my mind stat to 19 units. It helps with something, I guess. I've never understood it. I guess it increases my cognitive thinking abilities, but it's not like I've been able to notice any difference, it just goes up on its own too. Hidden quest, a real man, completed. You are finally a real man. You have grown out of the status of a cherry boy. Congratulations. Objective, lose your virginity. Reward, birth control, passive. What the fuck? Kazuya spent some time thinking about the skill. Did I just become sterile or something? It's a passive skill. Can I deactivate it or not? The moment he thought of deactivating it, he instinctively felt that the skill had been deactivated. Talk about my first supernatural skill. Pretty useful though. I don't need my girl or myself to take those hormone-altering birth control pills, and condoms aren't exactly fun to use all the time, especially when our first time was nothing but raw dogging it. None of those contraceptives have a 100% success rate anyway. I hope that the system's skill is better. He activated the skill again since he thought that he might as well keep it active at all times. It's not like he'll lose anything. Then he focused on the last quest. Special quest, sunder a conqueror, completed. Rewards, chastity seal. The fuck is this supposed to be? No description. No objective. Is the reward supposed to be like some kind of cheating prevention thing? I'll guess that the seal might automatically go to the girl in question, i.e. Chizuru. I feel a little offended that the system thinks that I won't be able to keep my girl's loyalties. Then again, this kind of thing might be useful for Mami. Or maybe I'm thinking too much. It could be some sort of glorified kinky sex toy thing that allows me to control when my girl pleasures herself or something. I can only find out when I meet Chizuru tomorrow. That morning when Kazuya met Chizuru, he focused on the chastity seal to see if there was any response, and to his surprise there was. Do you want to apply the chastity seal on the recipient, Chizuru Ichinos? He was startled by the prompt. No, he thought, and the prompt disappeared. Did my system turn into some sort of depravity system or something? Maybe my thoughts were the ones that corrupted the poor innocent system. Whatever, I'm not degrading mine or Chizuru's feelings by using this seal on her. Since I want to turn Mami into a sort of bitch for me, I'll save this for her. I always doubt her loyalty to me, anyway. With this thing, I would probably have some sort of control over her. I'll apply it to her when I get the chance. Probably next month, since I'm still keeping a month's gap between any sort of interaction with her for now. Then again, I might be ditching Mami completely. That's going to be a whole ass talk that I need to have with Chizuru. I'm serious about this relationship, and if she's vehemently opposed to Mami's existence, then I can only cut my losses and get rid of Mami. I'll think about that later though. For now, I want to enjoy my honeymoon phase with her. Kazuya? Kazuya! Earth to Kazuya. You there? He got back to himself, and realized that Chizuru had been calling out to him for a while. Hi, babe. He leaned in to kiss her. Where were you lost? Just daydreaming. You look gorgeous. I see that you're changing your usual clothes for your nerdy get-up. Flashback ends. Chapter 47, Finding a CEO, 1/2. Kazuya spent the next few days until his launch in blissful happiness. He followed his usual routine of gym, college, MMA, and hunting for a suitable person to manage the company's intricacies. The one thing that changed was that he didn't let Chizuru free from his clutches for a single night after that Sunday when she slept at her place. After he was done CEO hunting, he'd go over to Chizuru's place, make dinner with her, and then kidnap her to his place, ignoring her protests. They then spent the next few hours in bliss before sleeping. Although either of them was getting more sleep than usual, both of them were glowing. Especially Chizuru, who seemed to be getting some compliments even in her nerdy getup. Something that Kazuya was immensely proud of was that she didn't seem to be actively hiding the hickeys that he gave her. If someone asked, she'd say that it was a rash, but it was clear to anyone that they were hickeys. He was sure that he noticed her smiling more than she used to. He'd finally decided to talk to his grandma, and told her that he'd be meeting her this Saturday and bringing Chizuru. He thought that he might as well make them happy and tell them that he was with her. It was Thursday. Kazuya woke up with his arms wrapped around Chizuru's lovely frame, as usual. This is the life. When she stirred awake, Kazuya turned her around and got on top of her. "Morning, babe." "No more. I'm tired and sore. Use your hand or something, please." Even in her sleep, she could tell that he was about to have their usual morning sex. She'd been tired out more than usual the previous night, since Kazuya was a bit more rough than usual. "Well, there is something else that you could do." Kazuya kissed her on her lips and she opened her eyes and asked him inquisitively. "What?" "It's better that I show you." Kazuya sat up and leaned on the back of the bed. There was no headboard, so he leaned on the wall. Kazuya spent about 30 minutes with her, where she gave him an amazing blowjob, after which he pampered her as usual for the rest of the morning before they'd leave for college. Today was the day that his alpha build training and testing part of the algorithm would be finished. He wasn't going to college today, so Chizuru had to go there herself. Kazuya did his usual gym before going to the company to conclude the project and pay them the rest of the money. By 2 in the afternoon he was done. He'd tested the usage of the AI, and although still not perfect, it was enough to release it for the beta build. He was going to launch the beta build on Sunday, and had to find his CEO. Before that, since he'd get way too busy with everything if the beta launched before finding someone else to manage things. I've already shortlisted a few candidates. Hopefully, the ones that I'm meeting today would be enough. He'd scheduled meetings with 3 people today. The first was Yukino Haruna. She was someone who was supposed to inherit her family's business but refused and cut off her ties for some reason. That's what he could find out about her from his research. She had a solid resume with enough training to manage a large company and enough personality to manage a large number of people, at least according to her. Kazuya would be the judge of that. Her only problem was that she was too young, 22 years to be precise. This was the main reason that she was unemployed. She was very suitable for Kazuya since his age was going to be an issue for him too. No older and more experienced CEO would be willing to bet on him. The second person was someone that he was especially interested in. Kaguya Shinomiya. She used to be the heir to one of Japan's most influential families, but a few years ago, her family got into a major dispute with another ancient family for some unknown reason. The war behind the scenes lasted for almost 3 years and ended in catastrophic mutual destruction. Kazuya had found a large number of news articles about small and large disputes between the companies. The conflict had brought the entire underground network of Japan into turmoil, soon spilling into the political landscape. The Fujiwara clan, which had deep political roots, was also uprooted and on its last legs after the conflict. The aftermath of the conflict had destabilized the entire economy of the country for years, and it had still not recovered completely. It was 2 years ago that it was finally concluded. This was one of the biggest reasons that Kazuya was more inclined to start a business here. No matter how hungry the rest of the vultures were for the leftovers of those destroyed behemoths, they weren't able to take it all under them, leaving an economic vacuum that Kazuya was planning to take advantage of to establish himself in Japan as an influential businessman without any family background. Kaguya's situation wasn't very clear during the time of the conflict, and it was speculated that she dropped out of school in her final year and went abroad to study further. When she came back after graduating from college, most of her family's higher-ups were either dead or in hiding, her being the last public living heir of the family. Damn, this sounds like something right out of some movie. The mighty fallen heroine makes her big comeback. Poor girl probably went through so much hardship. She's someone that most people won't touch with a 10-foot pole, afraid of having to face some kind of late revenge against her by the remnants of the Shijo family even though it was destroyed. Her resume though was phenomenal. She'd had extensive leadership training as the daughter of the previous leader of the family. Even though she was fourth in line for the inheritance, she was trained to perfection from an early age. Her qualifications were also top-notch. She'd graduated early from Harvard Business School with distinction at the age of 21 and come back to the country only a few months ago. Honestly, if she hadn't come back to the country, I'm sure she could have already set her life up as someone huge. I'm curious about her reasons for not starting her own thing. I understand that Japanese investors wouldn't be helping her, but she's got to have some sort of capital. The Shinomias had an empire built on trillions of yen. Her situation seems to be very intriguing. The last candidate was a red-headed foreigner called Colin Statfeld. She was the one with the most normal qualifications. She started from the bottom of the ladder, climbing her way up to the executive position, but was fired due to some internal politics within her company as far as he could find out. Her resume was solid with good qualifications. I have a feeling that these interviews are going to be a huge pain in the ass. His feeling was correct. All 3 interviews lasted far longer than they should have and were a bit of a pain to go through. There was too much stuff that had to be worked through. The first interview was with Yukino Haruna. He was already there at the cafe waiting for her to come. She's 2 minutes late. It was a tiny thing, but this kind of thing could make or break an interview. A busty lady walked into the cafe wearing professional clothes with a confident gait. I don't think she's going to work. Kazuya was instantly able to judge whether she would work for him, and whether it would be the right decision or not. He'd worked with a huge number of people in his previous life, and while he wasn't that experienced, he was a good judge of people's professional characters. Although that was his initial thought, he didn't let it get in the way of the interview. He was all for her surprising him and allowing him to not have to deal with the 2 other interviews. "Hello, Kinoshita-san." She greeted him professionally, and Kazuya got up from the chair to shake her hand. "How are you, Miss Yukino? Please take a seat." The interview lasted an hour with her asking him more questions than him. Normally he wouldn't have minded, but she didn't seem professional enough for his taste. Nor did she seem particularly invested in his product or the company. He'd be damned if he handed his company to someone who didn't even have any motivation to bring it to the top. His next interview was with Colin Statfeld. It went similarly to the first, but had far different implications. She was too ambitious, and not in a good way. Her first demand was a stake in the company's shares. And while he was planning to give a stake to the CEO, he wasn't planning to give as much as she asked. The fact that she'd asked for a stake up front was the deal breaker for him. It was clear that she was almost perfect for the job, but her final action made him change his mind. After 2 tiring interviews with genius people, he was tired. God, geniuses think that they're at the center of the world. It's a pain to deal with. Then again, I'm no different. Deflecting both of those girls' sensitive questions about my personal information and the information about the application's back end was another annoying thing to deal with. I doubt the next one will pan out either. I'll have to do the hiring round on Saturday after this. Kazuya was a little exhausted after 2 exhausting interviews back to back. After about 30 minutes it was time for him to meet his 3rd and final candidate for the day, Shinomiya Kaguya. Chapter 48, Finding a CEO, 2 halves. After about 30 minutes it was time for him to meet his 3rd and final candidate for the day, Shinomiya Kaguya. At the exact time of the meeting, there was a chime of the bell at the cafe, and a black-haired lady walked in with a steady gait and an impassive expression. Her red eyes were strikingly looking around the place, searching for Kazuya. Kazuya gave her a little wave and she walked to him. She was wearing a professional-looking outfit, a light blue shirt with a black blazer and a black pencil skirt with black heels. Her hair was let down and reached the mid of her back. I might be mistaken, but just that aura that she seems to command makes me want to hire her. Kazuya got up from his seat to seem polite as she greeted him. "Greetings, Kinoshita-san." He shook her hand, giving her a curt nod, and said, "Please take a seat, Miss Shinomiya. Would you like something to drink?" "Black coffee, please." Kaguya's expression was icy, as if she was aloof from the world. She seems like an interesting character, he thought. Kazuya started with his first question. "I suppose that you've seen the demo of my product that I sent you in the invitation mail. Care to share your thoughts on that?" "Of course, the application was the main reason for my interest in this venture. I think that if such an artificial intelligence assistant is released to the market, it could become a worldwide phenomenon. The current major competitors are only Apple's Siri and Google's Assistant. The companies, albeit behemoths in the technological field, haven't made many advancements in their AI assistants for a long time. Something like the Nexus Assistant that is compatible with all devices would be the perfect replacement. The only problem that the application might face in the short term is that the customers would consider it a privacy hazard." Kaguya spent the next 2 minutes talking about the application, its pros and cons, the difficulties that the product might potentially face, and even their possible solutions. This girl is a natural speaker. She has been speaking for more than 2 minutes and my ADHD-addled brain hasn't zoned out for a second. Commendable. That's a commendable answer. You've done your research. For my next question, I would like to know what plans you might implement if you become the CEO of my company. Kaguya spent the next few minutes describing the hierarchy structure that she was planning for the management of the company. It was a very efficient and scalable hierarchy model that would work perfectly no matter the number of employees. She described the security protocols and the internal management of the employees, and to say the least, Kazuya was impressed. Since he was a business major and had quite a bit of knowledge of the topic, he knew how amazing her strategies were. Kazuya asked a few more questions from her to gauge her character, and she answered perfectly without letting Kazuya understand more than her basic character. She was perfectly prepared for any questions. Her answers were perfect and made him want to hire her right then and there. But there was a little doubt inside him. She's going to dedicate her life to the company, isn't she? But why? Don't you have your ambitions? That was Kazuya's next question. Tell me, what are your ambitions? What do you want to be when you are at the peak of your life? That's a question that stumped her. She, for the first time today, slightly lost herself in her thoughts and looked to the side. I'm not sure. I'm going to assume that you've done your research on my situation. I don't know what I'm supposed to do. You could say that I'm still looking for my purpose. Did she not have a good relationship with her family? This seems fishy. Whatever, it's not my business. She's perfect for the job and seems to be enough of a perfectionist that even without an overarching purpose in her life, she'll give the company her 100%. A stake in the company, and she's completely involved with everything. There's one last question that I have. This might be a bit personal, so feel free to not give me an answer. Why did you not start your own venture? I know that with your capabilities and qualifications, you can easily set up your own venture. So why is it that you are looking to work for someone else? My apologies. This isn't really something that I'm at liberty to discuss. I hope you don't mind. Her face maintained her professional expression throughout the conversation. Not at all. I understand that it isn't something that you want to share. I'm done with my questions. Do you have anything to ask me? I do actually. Why aren't you managing the venture yourself? You're in a good business administration program and would be suitable for this job. Why hire someone else for it? Well, damn. I know that it's not exactly hidden on my socials, but she came with her research done. About that. I don't have any time to manage a business. Spending 25 hours a day working and managing things is something that I neither have the time for nor the motivation for. I have many other things that I'm busy with, including the development of the application. It's not something that I have in my mind for now, so I need someone to help me out with that. She asked him a few more questions to understand his character and motivations. Kazuya answered as professionally as he could. I think that I'll be making you my CEO, Shinomiya-san. I'll draw up the paperwork and everything, and set up another meeting. Do you have any specific requirements from me? Not much, but I would like to have a secretary to help me with my day-to-day tasks. I already have someone picked, so I just need you to approve. Sure, that's not an issue. The company will be managing everything. I'll set up a meeting with you in a day or two when the initial draft is ready so that we can get this thing going. Thank you. She nodded and got up from her seat. She seems pretty cool. I wonder who her secretary is going to be. Whatever, she'll be managing everything. I'm handing my company over to her, so I'll leave most of the stuff to her. I need to talk to my lawyer about the contract. The company doesn't have one on retainer for now, so I'll need to set up a meeting with him. Let's see if I can get it done today. It was still only 6, so Kazuya had enough time to meet with the lawyer, who thankfully was free. He'd already made an initial draft of the contract for the person he'd be working with, so it didn't take too much time to iron out the kinks. He added the secretary clause and finalized the contract. He'd already mailed her to set up a meeting for Saturday morning, the day before the beta launch. He set it up in the morning since he was going to go out with schoolgirl Chizuru on his second rental date out of 8. He'll be spending the rest of his free time working on the application and smoothing out the bugs. That day, after his MMA lesson, when he finally reached his apartment complex, he didn't go to his apartment. Instead, he went to Chizuru's apartment, knowing that she would probably be home. He still used the key to open the door and entered without knocking. Kaya, He heard a girly scream and looked up to see his lovely girlfriend covered in nothing but a towel, looking sexy as hell. Her face was red with a startled expression that was just so tantalizing. Kazuya smirked and felt all the fatigue of the day vanish into the air as he closed the door behind him, locking it, and walked to Chizuru. "Come on, Kazuya, I just took a bath." She recognized his look and started backing away from him. She kept stepping back until there was a wall stopping her retreat. Kazuya kept walking toward her, and when he was inches away from her, he brought his hands to her waist and pulled her into an unexpected comforting hug. He put his face in the crook of her neck and enjoyed the warmth that his girlfriend gave him. Her warmth is like some kind of tonic for my soul that heals it. Chizuru was surprised that he wasn't coming to her to start fucking her like he's usually been doing every day, but felt comforted nonetheless. "Come on." Kazuya wanted to pull her to his apartment to cuddle with her. Hey! Stop, I'm not wearing anything. We should eat something first." She tried to push him away. "I'm tired, I'll order takeout, I want to hug you." Kazuya is in full mood to be pampered today after all those tiring talks. Kazuya pulled her into her bed and hugged her waist, spooning her. "At least let me wear something." She tries to negotiate. "It's fine, I'll take off my clothes too. Not like we sleep with our clothes on anyway." The next moment, Kazuya's clothes were off and he pulled off Chizuru's towel away from her, turning her around in the process. Going back to hug her, he draped the blanket over the both of them. Her face was close to his chest and her legs were intertwined with his. He could distinctively feel her boobs touching his lower ribs. When she felt Kazuya's hand reach her, but Chizuru shrieked a little, "Kaya!" But Kazuya just squeezed her cheek like a stress ball. "It's like I'm a stress ball for him." Chizuru lamented inwardly. "You know, babe." Kazuya's voice is gentle since he feels like he's in heaven right now. "What is it?" Her voice was soothing for him. "Today was hella tiring. I was talking with the potential candidates to manage my company as the CEO since I don't have it in me to spend unending hours trying to manage the company." Kazuya started talking about his day with her. "I see. How did those meetings go?" "Unbelievably tiring. I just had 3 meetings, but all of them took a big mental toll on my ass." "CEO hunting isn't easy, huh? Far from the usual 10-minute interview before the person is hired or not. God, it's so far away from that. I talked with each of them for more than an hour. It took me more time to answer their questions than it did for me to ask them questions. I know that you can do it. You can do everything, after all, Mr. Jack of all trades." He could feel her amusement on her face and his chest. "Whatever. So, did you find someone?" "I did actually. The 3rd interview, which was the most difficult but the most productive, was the one that helped me shortlist my candidate. A person by the name of Shinomiya Kaguya. She's got phenomenal business instincts and prowess. Best of all, I won't have to doubt her loyalty to the company." "So, is she our age?" Kazuya felt the atmosphere shift from peaceful to a little oppressive. He used his favorite tactic and brought his hand down her cleavage, through her stomach, and to her pussy. He grabbed her, between her legs using both hands, and pulled her up from his chest to face him. The next moment his fingers were within her wetness and exploring it. "What? Are you jealous? I'll be having a professional relationship with a lot of girls, babe. You being jealous will throw something of a wrench in all my plans." MMHHH Kazuya. Kazuya hadn't stopped masterfully stimulating her as he spoke, and he could see her erotic expression. He gave her a light chaste kiss and pulled his fingers out of her wetness. Salty. Right in front of her face, he tasted her juices and made her embarrassed to say anything more. Bringing her back into their original position, he caressed her hair while playing with her lovely bubble butt. "I love you, Chizuru. But just as I'm not planning to control you, I hope that you don't try to control me either." "Yeah. I know. I'm just playing around. It's not like I can keep you hidden in my closet." Why do her thoughts seem so similar to mine? Didn't I want to keep her like that? Weird. Right. I'm gonna order something for dinner. Kazuya picked up his phone from the side table and ordered some dinner for the both of them. "It'll be here in about half an hour." Kazuya tightened his hold around his girl and cuddled like that with her. "We have a date on Saturday," Chizuru mentioned. "We do. Why don't you cancel the booked dates? We can just go out on some non-paid dates." "I could do that, but then the plans that I made to have you try out different roleplay scenarios will be going to waste, and I don't want that." Also, after the date, we'll be going to meet my grandmother. So just be prepared. Nagomi-san, huh? Yeah. She loves you like her own daughter, so I'm sure that she'll accept you without hesitation. Her dumb Kazuya finally did something worthwhile after all. I get the feeling that you're mad at her for something. It's alright. You can tell me when you're ready. They both stay like that for some time, with Kazuya occasionally whispering sweet meaningless words to Chizuru, enjoying her cute giggles and reactions. After they ate the food, Kazuya took Chizuru to the shower again since he wanted one. They for the first time in a few nights went to sleep together without doing anything else. It was a rather peaceful night for the both of them. Chapter 49, Meeting His Grandma, 1/2. The next morning Kazuya woke up with a lovely surprise blowjob from his loving girlfriend, and when she was done drinking every last drop, he praised her and said, "It's decided, that's going to be how you wake me up from now." Kazuya's face was strangely determined. "Keep dreaming. I just wanted to surprise you this morning. I'm not planning to do it again." She looked away embarrassed. "Are you sure? I've been told that I can be quite persuasive." His face was no more than a centimeter away from her. "Sure, you do that. I'm going to go take a bath." She tried to get up. Did she do that because she was tired and didn't want to have morning sex with me? Maybe she's got her period and doesn't want me to know. How cute. He followed her into the shower. He didn't have anything to do today other than college since most of his meetings were scheduled for tomorrow. Tomorrow's going to be hectic. Maybe I can ask Grandma to meet us today. "Hey, babe?" She was on the dresser setting up her hair into her usual unassuming braids. "Let me do that." Kazuya had nothing to do and decided to waste some of her time. "No. You do it wrong." "I might. But we have more than enough time, you can do it again." Knowing that she was fighting a losing battle, she relented. Kazuya's problem was that the haircare knowledge gave him the correct process to do everything but didn't give him the required practice. He knew how to tie her hair in any hairstyle conceivable, but couldn't put it into practice. He was sitting behind her on a stool as she was sitting on the floor between his legs, giving him easy access to her hair. "I love this. It reminds me of my grandpa." Chizuru was in bliss, feeling Kazuya's gentle hands going through her hair. "That's not what I wanted to ask you." Kazuya snaps her out of her reverie slightly. She asks in an inquisitive hum, not wanting to speak since she felt so good. "Are you free today after college?" She hummed affirmatively. It was strange, but neither of them had mentioned her rental gig for the past week. Neither had she gone on any dates, or scheduled any. "Great. Do you want to meet my grandma today?" "I have to meet with the CEO to finalize the contract tomorrow, so it'll be very hectic for me tomorrow." "Sure, I don't mind. But is your grandma okay with that?" Her voice is a little lazy since she's very comfortable with Kazuya running his fingers through her hair, gently tying it into her braids. "Don't worry about her. She's old and retired, and the most important thing that she has to do is take her meds on time. I'll text her to let her know. If you say so." Kazuya kept working on her hair for a while, and when he was finally done, "So, how is it? Do you think that I'll be worthy of styling our daughter's hair?" What? Kazuya saw literal steam rising above her head. "Such a cute girlfriend." "I was kidding, how's the hair?" "It's not bad, there are a few locks that ain't meeting at the incorrect angle. See here? This is what I'm talking about. Also, I'm flattered that you researched how to tie a braid before trying to work on my hair. 8 points. Out of? Not telling. Chizuru likes fucking with him." "Right." Kazuya. Chizuru fixed her hair a bit before calling out. "What's up? I was just wondering if it's too early for me to meet your family. I know that we met back at the Hot Springs Resort, but we weren't together back then. It's different this time. You don't need to worry, my grandma already treats you as her granddaughter. Our being together will just solidify that. She'll be ecstatic." "So we're just waiting here for your grandma?" "Yeah. She wants to visit the shrine or something. I missed the New Year with her, so I guess she wants to take me there. I'm curious about her reaction to you being here." "My princess." There was an exclamation from the side, and Kazuya heard his grandma practically running up to him, or more specifically Chizuru. "Hello to you too, Grandma." Kazuya sardonically speaks from the side. "Oh, you're here too." Her reaction is nonchalant. "Happy late New Year, Grandma. Please treat me well this year." In front of Kazuya's family, she's in her perfect girlfriend mode. Her real self is mostly for Kazuya's eyes only, and that gratified him. You look so much more beautiful this year. Kazuya's grandma tears up dramatically and hugs Chizuru. She looks the same, Grandma. Kazuya comments from the side. Nonsense, I can tell that she's glowing more than she used to. His grandma can easily tell the difference. Maybe she changed her skincare routine. Chizuru could swear that Kazuya snickered when he said those words. That makes sense, Nagomi said. What brings you here, Chizuru-chan? Kazuya didn't tell me that he was bringing you. He wanted to surprise you. After all, we got together recently, so he brought me here to meet you. Why you're telling me that you accepted this brat? Chizuru-chan. Nagomi dramatically hugs her. All right, Grandma. You're smothering my girlfriend. Nonsense. I'm giving my love to my granddaughter-in-law to be. She's perfect. She started droning on about how much she loved Chizuru. Thank you for the praise, Grandma. Chizuru's face is a little twitchy at Nagomi's enthusiasm, but she maintains her perfect girlfriend role, albeit a little shakily. She noticed that Kazuya was sulking at the current situation where his grandma was completely hogging her. He's so cute, Chizuru thought, absently looking at him. Kazuya notices her expression and feels some kind of vanity inside him fulfilled, forgetting that he was sulking like a baby a few seconds ago. All right, let me do this right. Kazuya shoos his grandma away and hugs Chizuru's shoulder. Mom, Dad, Grandma. Meet Chizuru, my girlfriend. I like her very much, so I hope that you like her and give us your blessing. Kazuya wanted to make introducing his girlfriend to his folks a little dramatic, so he bowed a little with Chizuru while facing the three of them. Fufu, you've changed, Kazuya. The Kazuya I remember would have never had the nerve to introduce his girlfriend to us in such a fashion. You just tell us that you're together and that's it. I like this. Kazuya's mother is impressed at his actions. Kazuya's father just hummed approvingly. Yeah. Enough melodramatic stuff. Let me hang out with my little granddaughter. Nagomi tried to push Kazuya away. Never. She's my girlfriend, and I'm not leaving her in the hands of your old bones. Kazuya hugged Chizuru protectively as if she was some sort of plushie. You've started talking back, a brat. I just want to talk to my granddaughter. What's your problem with that? At this point, actual sparks were flying between Kazuya and his grandmother. Fufu. It's okay, Mom. He's newly started a relationship. This was bound to happen. We should leave though. The shrine will be closing soon, and with Chizuru here, we must go there. Kazuya's mom was something of a voice of reason between Kazuya and his grandmother. We're not done, brat. Nagomi turns to start walking in the direction of the shrine. It's that way, Grandma. Kazuya just had to ruin his grandma's moment by pointing out that she was walking in the opposite direction. Damn brat. Kazuya smirked at his grandma's remark. His parents were already walking with his grandma to the shrine, and Kazuya looked at the girl that he'd wrapped in his arms. He felt her hug him tightly and rub her head on his chest. Babe? It's nothing. Let's go, we don't want to keep them waiting. Chizuru tried to pull away from the hug, but Kazuya didn't let her, so she ended up looking up at his face curiously. I love you. Kazuya couldn't get enough of her and leaned down to give her a short kiss on her lips. Stop it, we're outside. She pushed his face away and looked to the side with red cheeks. Her cute and embarrassing actions made Kazuya want to rip off her clothes and have his way with her right then and there, but he refrained. 1. He wasn't an exhibitionist. 2. The people around him already seemed like they had eaten raw lemons. If he continues, there would be a literal mob after him. I don't know if this is some kind of difference about this world, but this girl has way too many people looking and commenting at her whenever she's in public. No, more like any girl that I've gone out with. It happened with Sumi, and it happened with Ruka that day when we were on the double date. Weird. Fine, let's go. He wrapped his arm around her shoulder and walked with her after his parents and grandma. Creator's thoughts. Chapter 50. Meeting his grandma, February 2nd, *. At the shrine, Kazuya's grandma prayed for him and Chizuru to stay together and all that stuff, embarrassing Chizuru. If she was a rental that Kazuya was introducing to her parents, she could have acted easily. But this was the real deal. As much as she tried to act cool and calm to make a good impression, her true feelings would come out every once in a while. This was something that Kazuya found extremely cute. After the shrine visit, they all went to the Kanoshita home for dinner. Kazuya's grandma received Chizuru extremely enthusiastically, giving in to all her whims. At some point after the dinner, Chizuru made a request that left Kazuya apprehensive. "Grandma, do you mind if I ask you to show me Kazuya's baby photos?" "Of course not, dear. I'll be right back, I have to look for the album." With that, his grandma scampered off, leaving an excited Chizuru and a horrified Kazuya. "No, please," he practically begged her. "Impossible. I want to see my boyfriend's embarrassing pictures." She had a special calculating glint in her eyes. "You're playing a dangerous game, babe. You don't want me to start taking embarrassing pictures of you. Bring it on." Chizuru isn't afraid of Kazuya's threat. "Yeah?" Kazuya has a menacing glint in his eyes. "I'm not afraid of you." She tried to act bravely. "You're lucky that we're in our parents' home right now, otherwise." "Oh, our parents?" She's flustered at the notion of being included in his family. "HM? Yeah, at this point you're stuck with me, and it's not just me. It's my grandma that's borderline obsessed with you and my loving parents too. We're a sort of package that you got when we got together." "Oh my God!" She doesn't know how to react, and hides her head behind his back, pushing it between the back of the couch and his back. "This took me a while to find. Chizuru-chan, you'll be amazed at what's going on." Grandma Nagomi is confused when she notices Chizuru burying her head in Kazuya's back. "It's nothing, Grandma." Hearing Nagomi's voice, Chizuru has no choice but to come out of her hiding place and face her with a reddish face. "If you say so." Nagomi is excited to spend time embarrassing Kazuya in front of his girlfriend. The next hour was spent with Chizuru reacting to cute embarrassing pictures of Kazuya and him wanting to hide under a hole. That wasn't even me, goddammit. He was aggrieved at some of the embarrassing shit that the original had going for him. When they were done, Chizuru kept glancing at Kazuya with a smug smirk. After that, it had already gotten late, so both of them left to walk back to their apartment. The moment they were alone, Chizuru burst out laughing since Kazuya's brooding expression was very cute to her. Kazuya was annoyed but still kept walking at a steady pace with his arm around her shoulder. "Kazuya." "Thank you?" Her voice was tiny and almost reminded Kazuya of Sumi. "I don't think that you'll be thanking me when I get my hands on you." Kazuya went for a quippy remark since he was still a little annoyed at being embarrassed by his grandma. "Oh, are you pouting, you big baby boo?" Chizuru sardonically makes fun of him. The next thing Chizuru knows, she's pushed up against the wall in an inconspicuous alley with her hands held above her head. Looking into Kazuya's eyes that were mere centimeters away from her, she was feeling both vulnerable and anticipatory. "I think you've made enough fun of me tonight." He brushed his lips against her cheek. "Kazuya, we're outside." She tried to persuade him, but he ignored her words. "I don't care." He whispered into her ear, giving her goosebumps. He lightly bit her ear, making her suppress her moan. Then he slipped to her neck, sucking her. One of his hands was busy holding her hands above her head. He brought the other to her tits and fondled them over her clothes. Kazuya. She was desperately suppressing any noises, but it was difficult. After a while, when he was satisfied with the hickey that he put on her neck, he roughly kissed her. She was wearing stockings and a knee-length skirt for the day, so Kazuya started pulling up her skirt slightly. She didn't realize it due to being occupied with the kiss. When his hand was under her skirt and touched her moist pussy, she recoiled since she'd remembered that they were in public. "Kazuya," that's all she was able to say before he put his lips over hers again. Her hands were held above her head, so she wasn't in any position to resist. His other hand was lightly rubbing her covered wetness. Although his action seemed impulsive, he was completely alert to all sounds around them, paying attention to the surroundings. The alley was a calculated location. He wasn't planning on risking anything. He may be playing off on the excitement that this stuff brings, but he had no plans to inadvertently give someone glimpses of his girlfriend. A little vibe would be perfect for this moment. "I'm going to put some toys in my inventory, the portable kind." Kazuya thought that he could have tried some more stuff if he had access to some of the sex toys that he keeps in his penthouse apartment. He kept going further, slipping his tongue into her mouth and pushing his fingers into her pussy, slipping them through her panties. She moaned into his mouth at the sudden sensation of penetration. He could still feel her weak struggles due to being in a spot where someone could easily see them. Kazuya could tell that although she was slightly panicking, she was also aroused by the situation if her lightly grinding hips were anything to go by. He kept fingering her while using his thumb to stimulate her clit. Soon enough, in the excitement of getting caught doing something like this in public, Chizuru wasn't able to hold herself under Kazuya's attacks on her mouth, pussy, and clit. Coming. Her voice was excited yet suppressed. Kazuya felt his hand getting wetter and Chizuru's body shaking slightly. That's for making too much fun of me. Kazuya brought his hand, which was covered in her pussy juices, and pushed his fingers into her mouth. In her euphoria-addled mind, she instinctively sucked on his fingers, turning him on to no end. Let's get back to our apartment. There's something I need you to take care of. I like that idea. She wholeheartedly supported Kazuya's idea of hurrying back home since she was also very horny after that amazing orgasm. They both rushed back to their place and had an extra long session of hard fucking. Chizuru thought that she'd got enough rest to suppress Kazuya or at the very least match, but she was completely wrong. By the end, she was no more than a tired, blubbering mess while Kazuya was still fully virile. I might need some help to completely take care of his unending appetite for sex. She distractedly had the thought while she was cuddled up with him.